Whitted. The deep looks from downtown.
Damask from the right block. Gives to Hawkins. Straight on. Triple. Good. They left him open, and he makes him pay.
The get that out of here's.
Bonner to the basket. Rejected by Renew, who saw that one coming.
Your exclusive home for the Final Four. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Dennis Cox for ESPN Bet Sportsbook. As football winds down, college basketball is gearing up. Fans are ready to see which teams will prove they are ready to shine in March and who will be seen in San Antonio. You can get in on all the action from tip-off to the final whistle at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Right now, new ESPN Bet Sportsbook customers can bet $10 to get $100 in bonus bets and unlock 30 days of ESPN Plus. Download the app and sign up with the promo code RADIO100 to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
A new game has landed in North Carolina. Officials are calling this new species of game Cash Pop. So easy to play, it's out of this world. Reports confirm you just pick and match one number to win up to $2,500. With 5 drawings every day, cash landings have been cited across the state. So be on the lookout for Cash Pop from the North Carolina Education Lottery. The wins are out there. Must be 18 to play. See Cash Pop prize and odds chart at nclottery.com for details. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Don't go through another year with all that high interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours. Paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 919-381-1760, or visit loanpronto.com. Get a free rate quote with no hard credit pull, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
The next disaster is coming. Make a plan. Keep extra medication on hand. Make copies of important documents. Stay informed and be ready. Learn more at americares.org/send-us-in.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com. WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Powell with the offensive rebound. Kicks it out to Cadeau. To the cup. Give him 2 more with the left hand. And another timeout by NC State. This one will stretch to a full as Carolina now leads 37-15. Styles, tough turnaround on the baseline. No, great defense by Powell. Heels on the run up big. Trimble hits the Jets. Goes behind the back. Hangs in the air and finishes for 2 more. Holy smokes. 46-18. With 4:45 to play first half.
Yep. That's about the size of it last night. Wow. Oh, I had such higher expectations. Maybe it's because I was snowbound and we were looking for some sort of entertainment. Even my wife was looking forward to that game. Hi, it's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Graham Hill back at the ranch on the ones and twos. Would have been Walter Becker's birthday today. One of the founders, the co-founders of Steely Dan, who had passed away a number of years ago. It would have been his birthday today. I have no idea if Graham is planning anything for that or not, but Graham's a musical genius. So how are you, Graham? Did you manage to venture down through the snow to the Smith Center? You didn't do that yesterday, right?
I didn't. For a slight second, when it was announced around 5 o'clock yesterday that if you could, in quotation marks, walk to the Dean Dome, you would get free admission. For a slight second, I thought about it, and then I saw that there was a semi-truck that was blocking an exit to get on I-40. Didn't want to take the risk, so no, I ended up watching it from the comfort of my own home.
Yeah. So did NC State. Oh, boy, that was uncalled for. Hi, everyone. I am Adam Gold, and it is the Adam Gold Show. So we have a lot of things to discuss today. We have a very big hockey game tonight, so we're going to get right to it. Yeah. And we're going to start with last night's game. 97-73. That was apparently the score of the night last night. 97-73, the Tar Heels beat the Wolfpack. And if we're being honest here, that scoreline probably a bit flattering because this really was non-competitive after the first few minutes of the game. It was 6-6 about 4 minutes in, and then it was over. Hubert Davis and that atmosphere that you talked about, Graham. Hubert Davis with all the students really close to the court. That atmosphere reminded me of a game back in 2000, which we'll get to in a second. Here's Davis on the atmosphere.
And for us to have 14, 15,000 fans there, I mean, it's just, I really wanted to thank them. They made a difference. And the players have said that to me. After the game, they were like, that crowd was different. It made a difference. And it's so nice. Many reasons why I love the Smith Center, because the students could get here. They can just come down the hill and come to the game and support their fellow classmates. And so it was a really great night.
All right, so that does speak to the proposal to take the new building at UNC when they replace the Smith Center, to take it off campus. You don't want that, right? Look, I think that these should be campus facilities unless there's no other option. Now, maybe there's no other option in Chapel Hill. I don't know, but my gosh. I go back to the game in 2000. Bill Guthridge was the head coach at the time, and it was a game against Maryland that ultimately, Maryland was basically at the height of the Gary Williams era. It was the start of it, right? I think it was that because I believe it was 2000, 2001, 2002. That was the best version of Gary Williams Maryland basketball. And Carolina wasn't their best team, right? But they beat the Terps that night. And Bill Guthridge was asked after the game about the atmosphere, and he goes, "I'd love to do it again, and if not, we'll just bring in more snow." It was just a very cool thing. Guthridge, the late Bill Guthridge, had an incredible sense of humor. Anyway, it went from 6-6 to 28-10 in a 6.5-minute stretch. The Heels led by 28 at the half. So, Hubert Davis, what led to that first half surge?
Big emphasis going into this game. They got 16 offensive rebounds against us in the first matchup. It was like, it can't happen tonight. We have to put a body on them, and we have to get the rebound. And once we got the rebound, we knew that we would have an advantage in transition, and that's what happened. And that's been for us all year. Like, we've been consistently great in transition. But in order to get there, you have to get stops, and you got to rebound, and we did that. And the whole energy level, and then our press, we started pressing and creating turnovers, and the crowd was just amazing. It's, the weather out there is rough.
That's Hubert Davis. Now, Kevin Keats, what led to the early start for UNC?
We got off to a terrible start, and I thought, which really bothers me is that we got beat to a lot of 50-50 balls. We gave up second and third opportunities. We gave up 7 of their threes in the first half. If you look at the second half, we battled, we fought. But on the road in the ACC, you can't dig a big hole and expect to come back to win the game. And, I thought the game started off, went back and forth. We turned the ball over too much in the first half. We gave up threes, we gave up transition. And once you dig yourself in a hole, our guys fought in the second half, but we had such a huge deficit and a big mountain to climb.
All right, first of all, we should not even recognize anything that happened in the second half as significant. Nothing. 0 of the second half mattered. When you trail in that game by 28 at halftime, the only time anything that happens in the second half that should matter to you is if, wait a second, we could still win this. Was there anyone who ever thought at any time at all that game was in the balance in the second half? So ignore everything from the second half. I don't want to hear about fight. I don't want to hear about anything. We got to our game. We finally figured out how to – no, nothing in the second half matters. All right, let's get back to the start of the game. Jaden Taylor for the Wolfpack. What led to the early start for UNC?
Just scouting mistakes, mental mistakes, breakdowns. They just led to easy baskets for UNC.
All right, so now I have no idea what he means where there's scouting mistakes in that the coaching staff didn't recognize certain things. Look, I have more respect for Kevin Keats than that. Whether or not fans do doesn't matter. Kevin Keats is a good basketball coach. I didn't see a scouting problem for the Wolfpack. For me, it really came down to one thing. It came down to, are you ready to compete? Now, maybe that's a coaching problem in and of itself. I don't know. But if you watch the game, I don't believe that NC State was like, oh, my gosh, that guy will shoot? I don't think that was the case. To me, it was, are you going to compete? Are you going to try and dig in and fight to win this game? And that, to me, it manifested itself in the rebounding. I just don't understand. The worst, the most anemic UNC rebounding team in my lifetime utterly destroyed the Wolfpack on the boards. Here's Kevin Keats on what was upsetting to him.
The threes doesn't bother me as much as we gave them second and third opportunities to make it. That's my, if you're asking me why am I pissed off, we didn't play like we should have in the first half. And then we gave them too many second chance shots. We got beat to 50-50 balls. And then we had some great looks and they just didn't go down. And then obviously, our defense didn't travel. And we played much better in the second half. I'm happy with the guys that showed up in the second half. We fought, we competed, we won the second half, but we didn't win the game because we lost it in the first half.
We won the second half. What is NC State's second half record? I'll have to go back and look at it. Maybe they can make the second half ACC tournament.
Graham, I need you to be here at noon to produce my show today. I walk in at 12:05. Graham, you were supposed to be here at noon. Yeah, but I got here at 12:05. I'm good for the rest of the show.
I won the second half. We won the second. Yeah, they did. Congratulations. Look, I'm pretty sure that Kevin Keats isn't. I don't know. I can't even say. I can't defend. I can't even pretend to defend that.
There's no defending it.
Well, I'm just not sure that he really meant anything by we won the second half. So I don't want to assign importance to something that isn't there. But you can't be excited by anything you saw because what we saw when it mattered. This is what did I say about the game last night, which is why I wanted to see Trey Parker play more, who, by the way, did not play well at all, is that the game to me, and these games, these types of games, are moments games. Rivalry games are about moments. It's not necessarily about being, beautiful. It was never going to be beautiful basketball. Was last night for UNC because of the lack of resistance. these games, especially when you're talking about where State is in the ACC pecking order, is about what are you willing to do? What are you willing to do to fight, to compete? Here's what's interesting is that we're going to contrast this to tonight in Boston between the United States and Canada in a game that has nothing at all on the line. That is the truth. There's nothing at all on the line tonight other than pride. And I guess there's a trophy too. But still, we're not playing for money. You're not playing for a Stanley Cup. You're not playing for a gold medal. This was essentially the replacement for the NHL's All-Star Game. And you saw the way both teams put it out there last Saturday night in a prelim. It's because the matchup, in this case, USA-Canada, the matchup matters. We're going to talk to Chuck Kaiton about this and something else in a second. Wes Durham is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. But that's the thing that gets me about this, is that they're not playing like we've had discussions about how to make the NBA All-Star Game better. Well, you got to put a whole bunch of money on the line. Really? Like everybody at that game's got millions upon millions upon millions. Like, why do we need more money to make that game matter? Right? It will only matter if it matters to the players. So last night's game, we could talk about scouting report or anything, but ultimately, last night's game, it's got to matter to the individual players involved. And if it doesn't, like, what are we doing? It clearly mattered more to UNC. And at this stage of the season, with nothing else to play for, how does that not matter as much to NC State? I don't even understand. And that it gets back to the conversations we've had, this past week. By the way, I believe Kevin Keats last night also talked about NIL. Like, I don't even know what kind of conversation we're having about NIL in the middle of a season. I don't. Unless we're digging for reasons why NC State was so far, behind UNC. So I'm just at a loss for how one team in a game like this can compete when the other team is not. Because that's what rebounding is. Again, it would be one thing if this was a vintage Carolina rebounding team. They're not. It is literally the worst, the most anemic UNC rebounding team that I have been around ever. And it was 50% on the offensive glass for UNC. 50%. A season high. They played some pretty dog teams during the beginning of the season and didn't do this to them. That was embarrassing. Again, contrast to tonight, and you've got two teams with really nothing on the line but pride and the rivalry of USA-Canada. And we are going to get to that with the Hall of Fame voice of the Hartford Whalers and Carolina Hurricanes, the one and only Chuck Kaiton, joining us. How are you, sir? Can Chuck hear me?
Hello?
Chuck cannot hear me. All right, we will clear that up here in a sec. Because on top of the fact that we have this major hockey game, there is a bit of a pall cast over the hockey world with the voice of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Mike Lang, passed away yesterday, age 76. Chuck Kaiton, how are you, sir?
Good. I can hear you now.
Yes, you can.
There you go.
Before we get to Four Nations, I know, as you know, you guys who have done hockey games for nearly a half century, you guys all are in one giant fraternity, if you will. What did Mike Lang, longtime voice of the Penguins, What did Mike Lang mean, obviously, to Pittsburgh, but also to the sport in general?
Well, he was one of a kind, Adam, and he was a very good friend of mine since I met him going way back in 1979. In fact, October of that year, Hartford Whalers, Pittsburgh Penguins, the old igloo in Pittsburgh. I walk up to the booth with my radio equipment. I didn't have an engineer at the time, and then the booth right next to me was Mike Lang. And I knew about him having listened to him on KDKA when I was doing college hockey prior to joining the Whalers, so it was a real honor to meet him. And he just a terrific individual, so kind and so self-effacing. And he had a unique style, and I really revered our relationship over the years. In fact, he was one of our members on the Foster Hewitt Committee with the NHL broadcasters, where every year we honor a broadcaster at the Hockey Hall of Fame, and he was on my committee, so he will be sorely missed. But just as a great friend, and it is just so unfortunate that he had to pass away at what I feel is a young age, since I'm only 3 years younger than him. And so, hey, just a great guy, and I'll never forget him and all the memories that he gave me in all the years that we broadcast together.
Scratch my back with a hacksaw will live forever. Well beyond what we're doing right now. What would he think? What would he think, and what do you think about what we're about to watch tonight at 8 o'clock?
Oh, I think that Mike is going to be watching from the press box of the sky at this game and really enjoying it as much as I will and as much as any Hurricane or NHL fan will, because it was very compelling. I heard you talk about the first game between the two teams and how there's nothing to play for but pride, and you are absolutely right, Adam. But that pride factor is large when you haven't had international competition in almost a decade of this magnitude. And so to the players who are playing in this, who never had the opportunity to be in, say, the 96 Canada Cup, obviously, or even in 2010, save Sidney Crosby, with the Olympics, this is going to be another terrifically emotional game. And I don't know if any emails have been sent or texts have been sent to the opposite side about starting 3 fights in 9 seconds. Don't expect to see that to happen, but I do expect to have a very emotionally charged game at the TD Garden tonight.
Maybe it was my fault going in. Chuck Kaiton is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show. Because I just, okay, it's great. We have 4 nations tournaments, best on best. But it's essentially the All-Star break, and I thought that there would be kind of a meeting of the two, that it would be better than All-Star game intensity, but not quite what we're used to. I was blown away. And I thought, and to me, it started with Canada-Sweden, the first game. That's when I noticed, okay, this is going to be different, because it was real hockey. It was real NHL hockey with guys wearing their national team colors.
And I guess the only people who are kind of holding their breath through all of this, Adam, and certainly from what we saw in all the rivalry games, even when you looked at Sweden and Finland, who are just like the United States and Canada, mortal enemies when it comes to the ice, general managers are holding their breath right now, and so are owners, not to see the kind of injuries that we've already seen with some of these teams, especially on the U.S. side, although they're going to get everybody but Charlie McAvoy back tonight, from what I'm told. They're holding their breath about injuries. When Brady Tkachuk went into the net there and actually was kind of cushioned by the goalie pad to some extent. And, of course, with Matthew Tkachuk with some groin issues that he's had most of the season, and then Austin Matthews with a back problem and all of the things that went in, Charlie McAvoy now with a shoulder injury. I mean, all of these teams are kind of holding their breath that they hope their superstar is not going to get hurt in this particular game. So they have to get through one more game, but it's going to be a highly intense game, and I can't wait for it to start because you're right. It has been compelling hockey. It has been serious hockey, and it just goes to show how important it is for these young men to play for their countries. It's just mind-boggling, as you mentioned, that you would see this kind of intensity and structure and coming together of all of these superstar players and all of them accepting their roles as they have. I mean, Dylan Larkin, a fourth liner, just as one example, or a guy like Brad Marchand, a fourth liner on Canada. So again, all of these guys, it's all country first instead of self.
Yeah, by the way, it looks like Seth Jarvis is going to draw back into the lineup tonight for Canada. So we'll have somebody to root for on both sides, Hurricanes fans. And let's talk about the other guy real quick. Because, it's funny. At some point when people keep calling you underrated, you're not really underrated anymore. When everybody says, man, he's such an underrated player, he's not really underrated. Jacob Slaven is what he is. One of, if not the best defensive defenseman in the entire NHL. And I thought, and to me, he was, I put out stars after games, and for me, he was the best player in the USA-Canada game Saturday night.
Yeah,
Nathan,
absolutely.
Yeah, Nathan McKinnon wanted no part of trying to deal with Jacob Slaven down the right side. He wanted no part of it. He aborted almost every mission going down the right. Thought, let me try something else. To me, he was the best player.
I don't disagree with you at all. And what makes him a great player and what I guess makes him underrated to a lot of people is he does things so elegantly and so economically that you take him for granted. I mean, he's got, first of all, a wide reach. He plays the game cleanly. He's always in great position. And all of those things add up. I mean, the average player or the average fan doesn't see all of that stuff because he makes it look so easy because he's never scrambling around. He's always in good position. He knows when to pinch offensively to keep a puck in. He knows when to back off. He's always in tremendous position in his own zone. He knows how to and when to stand up at the blue line to nullify some of that neutral zone speed that you're talking about that a guy like Nathan McKinnon and, for that matter, Connor McDavid have. He's just got this knack. It's a sixth sense. I mean, he's terrific. Again, I guess the underratedness comes from the fact that he makes it all look so easy, and he plays the game, and I hate this term, the right way. I mean, he doesn't go out of his way. He doesn't slash you. He doesn't high-stick you. He doesn't try to get an advantage illegally. And it's just a testimony to what kind of a character he is. And, in the little time that I knew him, when I was around, he was just a class act in every manner of speaking, both on and off the ice.
All right, so what tips the scales in favor of one nation or the other? Does it matter that the USA won Saturday? It's hard to beat a team twice, blah, blah, blah. Who do you like tonight?
Well, I mean, there's two different dimensions here. First of all, I like the U.S.'s goaltending. Connor Hellebuck is, I think, the better of the two goaltenders over Jordan Binnington. So that's one of the key areas to look at. But the X factor, again, for this game, the U.S. is going to have to solve the Cale Makar puzzle because they didn't have to deal with that the first time around. Right. Cale was out with an illness, so that's going to be what kind of impact is he going to have offensively and especially on the power play, although I don't expect a lot of power play opportunities for either team tonight. I think the referees will let them play, and I would be surprised if Wes McCauley isn't one of the two referees in this game tonight. And obviously they're going to let him play. I mean, unless it's something flagrant. So the power play may not be as essential for either team. So it's going to have to be 1 5-on-5, and my money's still on the United States because of the goaltending matchup.
Yeah, I think goaltending, and honestly, I'll be surprised if Slaven and Brock Haber don't play 24 minutes tonight together.
Oh yeah, I mean, Jacob is the best defenseman on the U.S. team, hands down. You said it best before. I mean, there's no question about it. He'll be on, and I know Mike Sullivan knows that. The whole coaching staff knows that with Team USA, and so as you mentioned, he's not underrated to hockey people. That's for sure.
No.
But that's going to be, and I think that Cale Makar adds the offensive dimension to the Canada defense. So, again, it may be a toss-up. It's probably going to be a one-goal game again. It's going to be a low-scoring game, I think, again. And so we'll see what happens. But my bet is on Connor Hellebuck the Brighton, Michigan native. So we'll see what happens here. But I'd say goaltending is still the key here, no matter what people say about all the dynamism of the McKinnons and the McDavids and those type of people. That's how I feel, Adam, at least. Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. Chuck Kaiton, Hall of Fame voice of the Hartford Whalers and the Carolina Hurricanes. Will we see you Thursday for next Thursday for Whalers night?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I actually didn't know. In fact, the answer will probably be no, because I have another job that night, and I was just informed of it. I will be the voice of the St. Louis Blues next Thursday night as they play the Washington Capitals. Yes. It's funny you mentioned next Thursday, because actually it never occurred to me that it was Whalers night here. But next Thursday I happen to have a date up at I don't know what it's called anymore. Is it the MCI Center, the Verizon Center, Capital One Center? It's the Washington Capitals and the St. Louis Blues, and I am going to sit in for Chris Kerber that night because Kerber had a death in his family, and he asked me to take over for him, and I won't be able to fill his shoes, but I will try to be an adequate replacement, at least on one night, for the people that listen on KMOX.
Chuck Kaiton, Hall of Fame voice of hockey. All right, sir. I'll talk to you very soon. Enjoy the game on Thursday. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks very much, Adam. Take care.
All right. When we come back, Wes Durham, another legend of broadcasting, on some symmetry in the ACC last night. Next.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
If Super Bowl 59 shows us anything, it shows that defense wins championships. That tried and true saying, defense wins championships. And if you're the Carolina Panthers, this is something you have to devote this offseason to fixing. Draft picks, free agency. You have to strengthen up that side of the football. You have to be great on defense in order to win.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and we're finally here. The 4 Nations Faceoff final is tonight. USA, Canada. The United States won the first match. Now it is time for all of the latkes. I have no idea why I brought potato pancakes in this, but I did. FanDuel.com/AdamGold, FanDuel.com/AdamGold. Make your first $5 wager. Win it. Get $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 wager. This is for new customers. Come on, we want you a part of this, and I'm going to give you the quintessential win tonight. Maybe it'll make your college fund complete. Jacob Slaven, first goal scorer, dives down the left, banks it off the mask of Jordan Bennington, and in. There you go. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Whether you're fixing up a room or tackling a full-scale remodel, Habitat for Humanity Restores have a huge selection of high-quality building materials at a fraction of the cost of regular retail, like new and reclaimed flooring and cabinets, tile, doors, and windows, lumber, and more. Come shop our treasure trove of building materials and save big bucks on your next project. Plus, your purchase helps Habitat build homes in our community. Visit Habitat Restores in Durham, Raleigh, Clayton, or go online to learn more at trianglerestores.org.
It's back, folks, and it's better than ever. Who wants to win a custom Caniacs motorcycle? Dennis Cox here for Law Tigers. The Carolina Hurricanes, Law Tigers, Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson, and Shiny Side Paint are teaming up again to give one lucky fan a custom Caniacs motorcycle. Go to caniacsbike.com to enter. Sign-ups last until April 6th, and the bike will be given away on the final home game of the season. caniacsbike.com. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Gold. Gold.
Was the hug because of the soft, fuzzy thing you're wearing?
It's a comment. I'm a great hugger. People like to hug me. But yes, it's helpful when I'm soft and fuzzy.
Is that a skill?
It may be, yes.
I think it is a skill.
I think it is a skill.
Yeah.
You know who else gives really great hugs? Mike Maniscalco.
Really?
He is one of my favorite huggers. Yes. Every time I see him, he gives the best hugs.
I'm going to try that at the next home game.
Do it.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Graham Hill on the ones and twos. And it is time to bring in the voice of the Atlantic Coast Conference, the reason the ACC turns a profit. He is the one and only Wes Durham, who had Notre Dame hosting SMU last night, which, as it turned out, the symmetry of Wednesday night ACC basketball was both games ended 97-73. How did you work that out?
I don't know. You're the one with the sports book in North Carolina. Maybe you can tell me.
That is, we don't have one in Georgia?
No, sir, we do not.
Really? Interesting.
Nope.
It's probably for the better. Who knows? It just gets.
I don't know. I hear there's some revenues in the state that they didn't have a few years ago. They now have. So good for North Carolina.
That is true. It has certainly been pretty profitable for the state so far. What do you make of, like, we're going to get to North Carolina, NC State, because I know you didn't see the game, so it's a little bit more difficult to dig into the details of it.
I watched the replay. I watched the replay this morning, so I'm
okay. So we will get to that in a second.
I'm versed to at least get to it at about 5,000 feet. Let's put it that way.
What's going on at Notre Dame with Micah Shrewsbury? The end of the Mike Brey era, it kind of fizzled out. We all understood it was going to go away.
Sure.
That run for 5 or so years was awesome when Notre Dame came into the ACC. Some deep NCAA tournament runs, an ACC championship, all of that.
Right.
The league mattered to Mike Brey.
Sure.
Is there still confidence that Shrewsbury's the guy to turn it around?
I think so. I think what Notre Dame's going through is exactly what some other schools have gone through, though, Adam. I mean, it's not easy now. I mean, this guy's in year 2, and let's be honest, it kind of bottomed out a little bit for Mike Brey at the end. I think we can all agree with that. His last Notre Dame team, probably his last 2, were not great teams. And when in today's world, when it bottoms out like that, it's tough, especially at Notre Dame, where they do have some guardrails in place. Some other schools don't. So you can't go in there and flip rosters as fast as you can at other places. You got to be a little more prudent with your transfer offers, and you got to be a little more prudent in your grad game, and then your player development piece still matters. And meanwhile, the rest of the country, to a certain respect, is pouring cash into people's pockets, and you're still trying to figure out how you're going to do that, right? You haven't quite maybe turn those lights all the way on at your house yet. So Notre Dame, I think, is there. I think next year will be, let's take, for instance, and I know, boy, is this a hell of a risk in today's college basketball. Let's say that Marcus Burton and Keba Jai and Tay Davis all come back next year, right?
Okay.
With Braden Shrewsbury, obviously Micah's son, who's a talented shooting guard. And with their recruiting class, I'd like to tell you I think they're going to be better. Harrelson is a terrific point guard. Burton can move to the off guard spot. Shrewsbury would be a small 3, but nonetheless a 3. I like Davis. I like Kebajai if he continues to develop. But I also like the idea of adding a portal big. And Notre Dame is all of a sudden a little bit better than they are, as a core now. So I see a path there. That path, though, involves getting a big in the portal. Well, guess what the biggest commodity in the transfer portal is going to be next year in college basketball? A big. Just like quarterbacks and offensive and defensive linemen in football, right? They're the most on-demand pieces of the operation. So Notre Dame is in a get-in-line spot with several other schools who are going to want that big. So that therefore you got to bank a little bit more that Kebajai is going to be better than he's been certainly in the last couple of weeks.
Hey, look, if Duke had gotten a big out of the portal last year, might have been a lot different for John Shire and company then, but it wasn't. They were basically left with Kyle Filipowski on his own. And Earl is a big fan of getting bigs out of the transfer portal. UNC couldn't get a transfer portal big last year.
That's right.
Van Allen Lubin is a guy that's kind of masquerading as their 5. All right, so from 5,000 feet, what were your thoughts on last night at the Smith Center?
Number one, NC State I didn't think was fair. I didn't think they were very crisp at all offensively. I think Carolina was better defensively than they've been recently. And somebody else beside R.J. Davis was scoring with them last night.
Yeah.
It's not real difficult when you start looking at where Carolina is good and where Carolina struggles. There are 2 or 3 principles. One, are they being somewhat a defensive basketball team, And if they're very good on defense, they're going to put themselves in a chance to win. Much like I keep using the Florida game from December as the example. They played pretty good defense that night. They lost to a better team, right?
Yeah.
I think that they had 2 or 3 scores that night. They lost to a better team. They're going to be a competitive basketball team if they're willing defenders. And last night I thought they were. I thought NC State was sloppy with the basketball at times. I thought R.J. Davis had help in scoring. Certainly, I thought Van Allen Lubin, speak of him, was somebody that got around the basket and made plays. They were really good on the glass last night. Against a team that, by the way, can be good on the glass. NC State's not a terrible rebounding team, but, Carolina was, as I like to say in today's college basketball, we can say this now. Carolina was interested last night, right? Yep. They were. Looked like they wanted to be good, and by God, they were good. Now, the question is, can they be good when Virginia rolls in there Saturday at 4 o'clock? Because that's going to be an important game for Carolina. Carolina, based on where this is, Adam, Carolina really can't have a misstep here going down the stretch if they even want to have a remote chance of scratching into the NCAA tournament field. And I still think they've got a couple curves and maybe a steep climb following, last night to it'll still even have that kind of optimistic conversation when we get to Charlotte.
I 100% agree. We had Jerry Palm on earlier this week. My feeling is that even if they lose to Duke, if they win 6 more games, then I think there's a reasonable chance that we'll see them at least in the first 4. Wes Durham is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show.
On 2 in Charlotte and the rest 4, the other 4 besides Duke.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and if they can do that, I think they'll put themselves in position. I don't think it guarantees anything by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it gives them a chance. I don't anticipate them beating Duke unless Duke doesn't want to win the game. And I know it's kind of weird to say it that way, but if Duke is locked in, I just don't think Carolina can touch him. But I think
I would agree with you on this. When Duke is playing well, like they did the other night in Charlottesville, they're one of the 3, 4, 5 best teams in the country. That's just fact where that is. SEC's having a great year. No disrespect to them. Duke is one of the 5 best teams in the country when they play like that.
No question. With the 2 teams from Alabama, Florida, maybe Houston right now, the way Houston is playing.
That would be the way I would look at it, only because I think Kelvin Sampson's team has been there, and I think if they're one of the teams I want to look at their bracket when it comes out, because I think Houston's that we're all kind of sleeping on. we're easily distracted by how bad Kansas has been right now, things like that, when we're really not paying attention to the central story in the Big 12, in my opinion.
All right, before I let you go, Wes Durham, the voice of the ACC, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. With all of the stuff coming out about meetings and expanded college football playoff, if Jim Phillips, ACC commissioner, called you and asked, Wes, what should I do here? What should I say? What would you tell him?
Well, you got to tell me what the deal is that's on the table and what the money is on the table. But if you're telling me that the Big Ten and the SEC are going to have controlling interest of this operation, I want to know, number one, for how long? Like, what's the term? Does that get you to 31? Does that get you to 2032? What's the term of the deal, right?
Right.
The second thing is this. If there is this football investment across the board in the ACC and the coaching is better, what happens the year you've got 3 or 4 teams that could be digging in on this? And by the way, what's the answer from the Southeastern Conference when the cannibalistic approach that happened this year where they thought July 1, I remember on an A block of Get Up, I was told the opening day of SEC Media Day, that wasn't July 1, it was an A block story or B block story on that edition of Get Up that day where we went live to Dallas for the SEC event, the kickoff, the labor meeting they have with 4,000 people there.
Exactly.
where I remember a certain ESPN college football insider told me they were going to get 5 teams in the college football playoff. So in July, if I'm being told they're going to get 5 in the playoff, what happens if another year like this repeats itself where they deserve no more than 3? Are we just going to throw the 4th team log on the fire because they play in the league?
Well, that's what the plan is. Oh, I totally see that. That's where I depart. What I don't understand is for a league that says, and they're probably right. Not even probably, they're right. They have, especially over the last 15 or so years, for a league that has played the best football. Mm-hmm. Why are they looking for guarantees? Just let your football do the talking.
Yeah, I'm of the belief that's, and I get it. I understand where this is going. They have the television numbers to back it up. They certainly have the financials to back it up. But when you don't have the quality product to match, and why are we still having a committee if we have all this, by the way?
We won't need one. I guess that's also their point, to get rid of the committee.
Yeah, the committee's going to become, just a, kind of a showpiece on the Cadillac. They're going to be the hood ornament, right? But for me, I have some questions about what happens when your league can't deliver, and when the ACC or the Big 12, which, by the way, the Big 12 in the first year and 2 years potentially could have 3 or 4 teams, and what happens to those back 2? So I guess I'm looking at the slots here. And if your league is going to be good and you think your league's going to be good, why do you think you need the slots?
Exactly.
But they are in a position where, and I'd like to know a little bit more what Ross Dellinger wrote about. I'd like to know a little bit more about the signed memo of understanding from a year ago and how that conversation came about. We seem to be just kind of skipping over the top of, kind of that part and on into, the formation of this. The last thing I'll say to you is this. My urge to him would be, above all else, get this event away from its NCAA basketball tournament tendencies immediately. Get this event to be its own standalone event. Move on. Let's move away from conflicts with the National Football League. Let's also get the college football calendar fixed before we start staging 14 and 16 team playoffs.
Yeah, the calendar is going to be interesting because when they expand the playoffs, where those games are going to go right up against NFL football games, and they don't want that. We're going to end up playing.
And you know how your winter calendar works because of the Canes, right?
Sure.
Nobody wants to talk about backing college football up into August, or that by the time this current CFP contract ends, the NFL could be playing 18 games in 20 weeks.
Oh, yeah. That's going to happen.
That conversation is not even starting. And I'll end with this. For all the television goodness that has been preached in the college football playoff, just remember this, that the national championship game between two major brands, Adam, in this country did not get 30 million people to watch. Okay? The AFC championship game had 52.5 million people watch it, let alone the Super Bowl, whose full number is close to 128 million 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
So that has to also, I think, find its way into part of the equation of this future of college football for sure.
Wes Durham, always a gentleman. Where are you headed this weekend?
This little game in Dallas, Texas. My first trip to Moody Coliseum, and I'm pretty excited about it, to be honest with you, for SMU and Clemson on Saturday at 4 o'clock. The tall Virginian and I will take a sail with the pilot type flavor to the broadcast for the folks in Big D on Saturday.
Unbelievable. All right, sir. I appreciate your time, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, AG. Take care.
You got it. Wes Durham here on the Adam Gold Show. When we come back, one-timers on the night where the United States and Canada will butt heads for the second time in less than a week. Next.
From the heels,
touchdown, Carolina,
to the canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and we are exiting the shortest month of the year for March. And you know what that means. College basketball. And right now, new customers on FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's right, $150 of their money to use as you see fit. As long as you win your first $5 bet, time for you new customers to join in. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. Get in on all the college hoops action before March takes over. FanDuel, 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
Going to college gives you more career options. You could say it pays for itself, but it might not feel that way in the short term, especially when tuitions do. That's where the FAFSA comes in. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's your gateway to money for college. Whether you're seeking scholarships, grants, work-study programs, or loans, it all starts with the FAFSA. So how about it? Make a plan for college and find everything you need for the FAFSA at cfnc.org.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
I choose to stay up to date on my vaccines to protect what matters most.
my community.
Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you.
So make sure you have protection against new virus strains that continue to spread this fall and winter.
Don't wait. Get up to date.
Because my health is our health.
Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Don't wait. Get your updated shots today.
Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
This is Adam Gold.
Frankly, I'm not sure that there is a sport that we could theoretically even put in the Olympics that isn't. I said bowling. Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Croquet? Lawn darts?
I'm waiting for cornhole.
Oh, there's somebody that thinks, yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Graham Hill on the ones and twos, celebrating what would have been the birthday of Walter Becker, half of Steely Dan. My favorite band. All right, let's, we have it. We have one-timers to do, so let's one-time it.
All right, Adam, in honor of the very big hockey game that's going to be taking place tonight, NHL Four Nations Faceoff, Team USA versus Team Canada, 8 o'clock on ESPN. One-timers is going to be all hockey themed for today. So I'll start with this. I know you asked Chuck Kaiton this earlier in the show. If you missed any of that conversation, you can check it out on the Fans YouTube channel, wherever you find your favorite podcasts after the show, of course. What are your keys to the game tonight for USA versus Canada in the Four Nations Faceoff final?
I don't know if it's keys to the game, but I will tell you where I think the game will be won. Unfortunately, fortunately, depending on who you're rooting for, the United States is significantly better in goal. Connor Hellebuck versus Jordan Bennington, and that should be your goaltending matchup. I also think that defensively, the United States is better. Now, part of that is because of personnel losses that Canada has suffered in terms of Alex Pietrangelo, Shea Theodore, things like that. But I believe Carolina's Jacob Slaven is the superior defensive defenseman in this event. And Brock Faber, I called him Haber before. Brock Faber has paired beautifully with Slaven on the back end, and that is the shutdown pair that I'm not sure that Canada's got. So give me USA's defense and goaltending to be better than Canada's, glorious offensive firepower. And I think the U.S. wins this game 3-2.
Speaking of Jacob Slaven, we'll see him return to the ice with the Carolina Hurricanes along with the rest of the team this upcoming Saturday on the road against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And as they enter the final stretch of the regular season, what's the one area of improvement that you like to see out of the Hurricanes when they return for the final stretch of the regular season?
Can they score? Please. Can we get a power play that doesn't suck the life out of the building? Can we score? Ultimately, that's what's going to separate Carolina from being a Stanley Cup contender and a team that would be fortunate to win a round. That's what it is.
And last one here with about the minute that we have left before we hit the hour break. I'll just leave this as open-ended as possible. After last night's loss to UNC in dominant fashion, where does NC State basketball go from here?
I'd love to see them compete. Wake Forest at home, at Syracuse, at Georgia Tech, Pitt, at Miami. Like I said yesterday, last night was not a dagger game for the Wolfpack. I still would have liked to have seen them really get into the game emotionally. I don't think they ever were. They've got to find 2 wins. One of them is going to have to be at Syracuse, so that they're going to miss. Otherwise, they'll miss the ACC tournament. And for me, if you miss the ACC tournament, I don't know you can come back from that. I don't know that this regime can come back from missing the ACC tournament in this particular Atlantic Coast Conference. All right, we will run it back. We'll set the table for tonight and talk about last night at the Smith Center in the snow game. Next.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and do you have a late-night craving for in-depth analysis on the Carolina Hurricanes and their latest game, their latest win, their pursuit of the Stanley Cup? Well, I can quench your thirst. I can feed that appetite on the Canes Corner podcast, the morning after edition, which drops the morning after every Hurricanes game. Get it wherever you get your podcast. Brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
It's time for the Coastal Scholar Athlete of the Month.
Hello, Creighton Blackwell here from Coastal Credit Union and 99.9 The Fan. Tonight we are at Green Level High School, and we're here to celebrate the newest Scholar Athlete of the Month, Lexi Taylor.
My family is definitely like my biggest support through everything. My sister and my parents both support me through my hardest days and my best days, and they're always there to support me.
Lexi's a phenomenal athlete, comfortable with whatever you ask her to do. She's strong, she's poised, she doesn't get flustered easily.
And she's just like grown up so much as like a captain and a teammate, and she's been a captain now for 2 years, and I really just think she's been like such a great help to our team.
Well, I've been cheering with her since 7th grade and we're seniors now, so I've kind of like watched Lexi like grow up, I feel like, and she's like done the same with me. So I've like seen her like step into a leadership role, and I feel like she's just always super encouraging and keeps a positive attitude.
It means a lot to me to just be able to be recognized in such like a wide area with so many amazing athletes. So I just feel great to like feel like someone's like seeing all the hard work that I've been putting into my sport and my academics, so I'm very grateful for it.
Congratulations, Lexi.
For over 20 years, 99.9 The Fan and Coastal Credit Union have been recognizing scholar athletes at Triangle area schools. If you'd like to nominate a high school athlete, text AWARD to 919-860-5326. That's AWARD to 919-860-5326.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's. If you have questions, the Parkinson's Foundation has answers. Learn more at Parkinson.org or call 1-800-473-4636.
Bonuses used to be everywhere. Boxes of cereal, a baker's dozen, airline upgrades, even without quadruple diamond platinum status. Life is better with the bonus. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery is adding bonus chances to multiply your win on Multiply the Cash scratch-offs. More chances than ever to win over $140 million in total prizes. Because everything is better with a bonus. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.31 to 4.86. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
It's a really, really interesting year in the ACC because everybody's knocking about how down it is. But the simple fact of the matter is it's going to be a very competitive ACC tournament because other than Duke, everybody else is kind of bunched together in there. So we have those games, of course, on ESPN Radio, and I'm looking forward to them. But that was a pretty diplomatic answer from you. I shared the wealth a little bit.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. That was Bobby V talking about the ACC. We're going to talk about it. But I think we have breaking news. So, Graham, if you could fire up the breaking news sounder. So this comes from ESPN NBA insider Shams Charania. San Antonio Spurs Victor Wembanyama expected to miss the remainder of the season with deep vein thrombosis in his right shoulder. That is a blood clot, and that is a very serious issue. So he will be out for the remainder of the season. Remember, they just traded for De'Aaron Fox from Sacramento to add a star level point guard to me, somebody who was going to be at some point the face of the league in Wembanyama. So this is a very serious issue, and we'll have to see where this goes beyond that. But Victor Wembanyama done for the rest of the season for the San Antonio Spurs. That is a stunning development. We're actually going to talk about when I called him the face of the NBA, potential face of the NBA. We're going to talk about that with Brenden Whitted coming up in a little bit later on in the show. And I posed this question earlier, and we'll try to get to it at some point over the next hour. Is it possible, and I'll just ask this question of Graham before we get into our second look at the news of the day. Is it possible, Graham, you're an American, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to root for Canada tonight if you're an American?
Only in the sense of Seth Jarvis is playing, and you want to see him do well in the final game of the Four Nations Faceoff.
Right, and we have Jacob Slaven playing for the United States. But if we're this Canada-Sweden, you'd be rooting for Canada, right? Because of Seth.
Sure, correct.
Had there not been an American player on the USA roster, had Jacob Slaven not been selected to play, would we be rooting for Canada tonight? So I just throw that out there because in the larger context of sports, the games have almost all become international in terms of the participants. The only one that isn't is the National Football League. NFL football is almost entirely United States of America players. There are a handful of Canadian players. Maybe there's a player who was born in Europe or Australia, probably a punter who was born in Australia. Regardless, it's almost entirely played by Americans. But that's really the only of the sports. And as we get closer and closer to more of a global sport across the board, I just wonder, can people set aside their homeland to root for their favorite players? Or, for whatever reason, you want to root for a certain country. Like if I wanted to root for the European side in the Ryder Cup, I may do it. These guys all play on the PGA Tour, every single one of them. So just throwing that out there. We'll have that discussion later on. But we'll narrow it down to, can you be the face of the league and not be from here? All right, we'll do that a little bit later on with Brenden Whitted. Right now, it's time for our second look at the news of the day. All right, and we're going to start in Boston. Four Nations Faceoff. USA coach Mike Sullivan on a rematch with Canada.
That first game was such a great hockey game. I think it's great for hockey that there's an opportunity for these two teams to meet again. Obviously they're both teams have star power all around the lineup. It was a very competitive hockey game, the first game. I would anticipate the next one will be as every bit as competitive, if not more. So, as I said after that game against Canada, the way that game was played with the emotional investment on both sides, it's just such an indication of how much these guys care.
It is, and it is interesting because the game Saturday night, which the United States won, it mattered. it mattered greatly. And because there really isn't anything riding on tonight other than they're calling it the championship, but it matters as much, really, as the first one. Tonight, though, will determine who wins, air quotes, the Four Nations Faceoff. And there's nothing else on the line. There's no prize money. There's no, we don't have it's not like an Olympic gold medal. You're going to get a trophy for winning the Four Nations Faceoff, but that's the only thing that's on the line. It really matters. Now, Mike Sullivan talked about the game. Mark Messier on can this game live up to last game?
Yeah, it's going to be just as intense, and everybody's talking about the fighting at the start of the last game. The way I look at it, it was one of the best games I've ever watched. The skill level, the speed, the intensity, the goaltending. It was a master class in how to play hockey. Defensively, the U.S. played incredible. To be able to contain McDavid and McKinnon through the neutral ice zone the way they did in a short amount of time and coming together as a team was incredible to watch. And, of course, Canada, with all the injuries that they have, they defended well. They just didn't quite have enough on the offensive side. And as we know, it's hard to score one-on-one in this league. You need outman situations there. So hopefully McCarr being back in the lineup can help Canada with some of those odd man situations that it takes to score at this level.
So Cale Makar will draw back into the lineup. He did not play in the first Canada-USA game. And both sides should, for the most part, be fully operational. No Charlie McAvoy for the United States. Brady Tkachuk will play tonight, even though I don't believe he took part in the morning skate. Now to basketball last night at the Smith Center. On the difference, for me, and I'm going to let somebody else tell you what the difference was, but for me, I agree with the following on being the number one reason why North Carolina absolutely crushed NC State. And for that, we get to Kevin Keats on the biggest advantage North Carolina had.
Our guys got to rebound in basketball. I mean, when you look at our guys who we count on rebounding the basketball, I mean, we didn't get much of. Ben had one rebound in 21 minutes. Dontrez, he was a bright spot. He had 5, but in Brenden in 17 minutes, we had 1. We just didn't rebound the basketball as we needed to. And, when you don't rebound the basketball and you don't do a good job of, our defense was not very good the first half. I thought it showed up. At halftime, they scored 54 points. They were shooting 50-some% from the field. Just not a good half for us at all.
Yeah, wasn't a good half for you at all. First of all, North Carolina State is a mediocre at best rebounding team. But so is UNC. And it is the most anemic UNC rebounding team of my lifetime. I can't remember ever a time where North Carolina didn't at least be good rebounding the ball.
2017, maybe? Roy's final season?
Yeah, but those teams were at least, I'll have to go back and look, but those teams were at least good. This team is no good at rebounding. And they absolutely obliterated NC State on the glass. The UNC this year has had 2 games all season long where they grabbed more than 40% of their misses on the offensive end. 2. Last night was 50. The other one was the win over Boston College in overtime where they got 41.4%. For the most part, they have been awful rebounding the ball. And they're not really a good defensive rebounding team either. But last night was, they got half of their misses.
Well,
half.
I don't know what it is about NC State athletics, and maybe I'm just being a little too superstitious here. Growing up in my time watching NC State sports, they tend to make teams that are subpar throughout the season look like giants or juggernauts in certain categories. And last night was a prime example with North Carolina on the rebounding stat sheet.
Yeah, that was just part of the advantages that UNC had. They were first to loose balls. They forced NC State into more turnovers than they normally commit. State's usually very good with the ball. Early on, it was terrible. But, it's funny. I'm watching the game last night, and we're going to get to Hubert Davis here in a second. I'm watching the game last night, and Reese Davis and Jay Billis are doing their very best to talk about this in a way that was not damning of the Wolfpack.
Yes, they were.
They did everything they could to not say, where's the level of compete in a game that, regardless of what's riding on it, I thought State Carolina mattered. Right? So when UNC and when their players, remember Ian Jackson before the first game was like scoffing at the notion that this is a rivalry. I mean, he flat out said, it's a rivalry? Is that what it is? Is that what you guys are calling it? He completely mocked the fact that this game matters. When Carolina plays like that, they show you that it matters to them. And when State plays like that, I thought the game mattered. How can the game at Duke matter more than the game at Carolina? I thought that was an embarrassing effort from UNC last night. Now, unique circumstances, snow, most people didn't use their tickets. A lot of students coming in. They had about 15,000 people pack the Smith Center, and a lot of unfamiliar places or faces in high dollar seating, which was awesome. And Hubert talked about the fans that came out.
And for us to have 15,000 fans there, I mean, it's just, I really wanted to thank them. They made a difference. And the players have said that to me. After the game, they were like, that crowd was different. It made a difference. And it's so nice. Many reasons why I love the Smith Center, because the students could get here. They can just come down the hill and come to the game and support their fellow classmates. And so it was a really great night.
It really was. So when they're having these conversations about building a new Smith Center and taking it off campus, keep those things in mind. Not that you want to make your decisions based on the, one snowstorm that we have every 5 years, but these games should be played on campus. All right, Taylor Hall of the Carolina Hurricanes will get his thoughts on tonight's game, getting back into action, how long it has taken him to acclimate to new teammates, how excited he is to be in a legitimate playoff run. We'll talk to Taylor Hall about that next.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen for the Did He Just Do That?
Johnson trying to step back for a three. Bring it up. Left side. Boy, that was cold-blooded.
The deep looks from downtown.
Damas from the right block. Gives to Hawkins. Straight on. Triple. Good. They left it open, and he makes him pay.
The Get That Out of Here's.
Bonner to the basket. Rejected by Renew, who saw that one coming.
Your exclusive home for the Final Four. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and it's finally here. They made us wait 2 extra days. The Four Nations Faceoff Final. USA v. Canada, which means that Canada has to take on the entire nation of Jacob Slaven. For the Carolina Hurricanes defenseman, who is not only a shutdown defenseman, but will score a goal tonight at plus 1,600. That's your pick. Jacob Slaven, anytime goal scorer, plus 1,600. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. New customers, win your first $5 wager. Make it that one. Get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold for Jacob Slaven. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always Bo time.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Do I choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
This is Adam Gold.
Frankly, I'm not sure that there is a sport that we could theoretically even put in the Olympics that isn't. I said bowling. Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Croquet? Lawn darts?
I'm waiting for cornhole.
Oh, there's somebody that thinks, yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Coming up tonight, 8 o'clock in Boston. 4 Nations Faceoff final, United States and Canada for the second time. And then we can get back to the business of the regular season in the National Hockey League. Hurricanes will be in Toronto on Saturday night to resume the final 26-game stretch of the regular season. Taylor Hall, number 71 in your Hurricanes program, if we even have programs anymore. I really don't know that we do. Joins us on the Adam Gold Show. Taylor, thank you very much for the time. This is our first opportunity to talk, so I do appreciate that. And welcome to Raleigh. Are you planning on watching a game tonight?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's going to be good theater. It's been a really good tournament and great exposure for the NHL, and the passion that we play with is evident, and it's been a long time since there's been best on best internationally. So I think we're all, it's kind of the talk of the dressing room today, and just excited about seeing what's going to happen.
Taylor Hall is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. To take me back to Saturday night, how much of, how were you dialed in? How much were teammates or friends around the league locked into this? What was going through your mind as this whole thing was unfolding?
Yeah, I was actually just traveling back from our vacation during the bye week, but saw everything on social media, and I think that's what's really grabbed everyone's attention was obviously the first 9 seconds of that game. I think it's great what those guys did. They set the tone for the game. I think they let everyone know that this is more than just a best on best tournament. It's about playing for your country and everything that goes along with that. And I think just the climate that we're at politically adds another dimension to everything. So it's really interesting, and the passion that they're playing with, I think, is probably the biggest selling point.
And you mentioned the climate with what's going on back and forth geopolitically between the U.S. and Canada, and the booing of the national anthems. that obviously does matter to the players involved.
Honestly, I think I'll disagree. I don't think that, the climate politically is making the players play any harder. I don't think that the Americans fought the Canadians because the anthem. Things can happen, and you're gonna play as hard as you can. So I think that it's more about that. When you put on that Canadian jersey, I don't think you're worried about what Trump has said or anything like that. It's more about just playing for pride, and that's what you're seeing.
Okay, the only reason I said that was because I think it was Matthew Tkachuk who said it after the game against Sweden that he didn't like it when he heard the national anthem booed. And I think, the stuff said out of the locker room was that I don't think we're talking about tariffs here or the 51st state. I don't think anybody is taking those types of things and assigning meaning to that in a hockey sense. But just the fact that the anthem was booed, but it was not booed in Boston. As somebody who played in Boston, what do you anticipate the atmosphere will be like tonight?
It'll be electric. The fans in Boston, they really bring a lot of passion to the game. The one thing I'll say is, it could have been a Tuesday night against one of the worst teams in the league, and the atmosphere in the crowd would be amazing playing for the Bruins. So they know their hockey. They have a rich hockey history, not only with the Bruins, but just developing NHL players throughout the region. I couldn't think of a better place for the final game to be tonight other than Boston.
Taylor Hall is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. As a guy who knows the game, how do you think, does one side have an advantage over the other in any particular area? It would be easy to go, well, Connor Hellebuck's best goalie in the world, or at least certainly in this tournament. Jordan Binnington can be great, has won a cup, all of that. How do you assess the strengths and weaknesses of these two teams?
Yeah, I mean, probably the biggest thing is McAvoy being out and then Makar coming in. That's a pretty big swap. And, Makar being out the last game for Canada, I think you could see that they just weren't able to get through the neutral zone as quickly and as easily and as with possession like they usually can. So that'll be an interesting thing just for me personally to watch tonight is how much Makar helps them. I bet you he's going to play, upwards of 30 minutes in regulation. So yeah, it'll be a good watch. And it's been a while since we've had a game like this in the middle of the season that's grabbed everyone's attention. Pretty good replacement for the All-Star game, no? Yeah, 100%. I don't think you could do it every year. I think it would lose its shine if you did it every year. But every couple of years allows for everyone to kind of just come into the tournament with a bit more juice. Taylor Hall is joining us here. All right, now on a personal level, being part of the trade that brings everybody to Carolina. You go from where you were in Chicago in the standings, I'm not talking about anything else, to where the Hurricanes are. Just tell me how you've adjusted into the excitement level that you've got to be, a major part of what everybody hopes will be a long playoff run. Yeah, exactly. You said it. That's what I'm excited for. It's kind of a chance to jump in the standings personally and come into a team that has had a lot of playoff success and has done some really good things this year and in the regular season in the past, and obviously a culture that's been set in place and has done some really good things. So I'm really happy to be here. My first couple of weeks with the team has been awesome. I've had a lot of fun with these guys and just getting to know Rod and the whole organization's been great. So. We have a couple games on the road to start off after the break, and we're looking to jump places in the standings and finish as high as we can to finish. And at that point, it's just about peaking at the right time. I think a lot of sports is about who can stay healthy in the playoffs the best, and who's got their game in order, going into the playoffs and just at the right time. So that's kind of our goal to finish the season here.
As somebody who has played against the Hurricanes for a number of years, what's it like playing with them?
It's fun. I mean, I really think the style of play and just the intensity and the puck pressure that we play with, it hasn't been fun to play against the Hurricanes, especially here in Raleigh over the years. It's been a grind. It always seems like whenever I've played the Hurricanes, they've got their game together. They're going to pressure you. They're going to make the game hard, and win or lose, you're going to come out of it just feeling like that was a tough 60 minutes. So it's been fun to be on the other side of it. I think it's, like I said, I think it's a really good fit stylistically, just with how I can skate and pressure the puck and turn pucks over. It's been a lot of fun just getting, some of the little things and the details down that makes the Hurricanes a really tough team to play.
Who was a player you played against that you found was different, better, funnier now that you're a teammate of?
Yeah, I mean, Jarvis is probably the easy answer there. It's been great to see him have success and obviously go play for Canada. And he's a treat to be around in the dressing room, brings a lot of energy. I'd say Brent Burns is another guy. Obviously, the beard and everything that he has off the ice, but he's such a good hockey player, and at his age to do the things that he does that I see in practice day in, day out, I'd say he's a guy that's, I wouldn't say surprised me a bit, but it's pretty cool to see a guy at his age do the things that he can do and just overall such a good hockey player.
All right, final thing for you, and I appreciate your time. Describe Jacob Slaven for people who don't know.
Well, I mean, the other game, the last game before the break, he took his second minor penalty of the season. So, if you can be that good defensively and that hard to play against, but only take 2 penalties, it just means that you're always in good position. You're never reaching. You're playing the game the right way. For years, it's just been a battle to play against him. He's got such a good stick. His angles are great. He kind of dictates play without being a guy that has the puck all the time. He's been a lot of fun to play with since I've been here. His puck skills and the way that he can carry it and move it and pass it have improved over the years to the point now where he's one of the best defensemen on Team USA. So, wishing him all the best tonight, and it's been fun being his teammate.
Who wins tonight?
I think Canada takes it. I don't know. It's gonna be close, but I'd say Canada 4-2.
4-2, empty net goal. Maybe Seth Jarvis a shorthander.
That'd be nice. He's due for one of those.
Yeah, what's the knack there? I mean, why do he and Aho seem to have such great chemistry? Shorthand, they have chemistry anyway, but what is it about when he's shorthanded that makes him so dangerous?
Well, I just think he sees situations where he's playing against 4 forwards and 1 D, and he knows that obviously they're trying to score goals, so he picks and chooses the right time to go. And sometimes there's one less guy on the ice, so there's a bit more space out there. He can always just ice a puck if he doesn't like what he has. So there's a bit of freedom that some offensive guys can take advantage of. And at the end of the day, it's his speed and his skating that's his biggest weapon from what I've seen so far. And Aho can skate just as well too. So they put a lot of pressure on the other team, and it's been cool to see, especially that last game before the break against LA. That goal they scored was a thing of beauty.
Taylor Hall, I appreciate your time, sir. Good luck the last 26 games of the regular season and into the playoffs. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Take care. Taylor Hall here on the Adam Gold Show. By the way, the Slaven, who got his second minor penalty of the season. He's got 8 penalty minutes this year In 2021, which actually took place entirely in 21, that was the crazy Central Division pandemic year. In 52 games, Slaven won the Lady Byng Trophy that year and had just 2 penalty minutes, and they were for delay of game, puck over glass. He actually didn't even have an actual penalty. It was just that. And that's actually one of the things that they talked about. There's a great article on ESPN about Slaven, in that he plays, the most minutes on Carolina's blue line. They're the most high leverage minutes against the other team's best players and shorthanded. And he doesn't commit penalties, and he is still maybe the best defensive defenseman in the sport. He's going to get a lot of ice time tonight. When Taylor said he would expect Cale Makar to be trending upwards of 30 minutes in time on ice, I mean, whether that's true or not, don't know. I would expect Jacob Slaven to be around 25. I think you're going to see a lot of Jacob Slaven on the ice, depending on, obviously, how it goes. But I expect you'll see a lot of Jacob Slaven on the ice tonight for Team USA. So we thank Taylor Hall for spending some time with us. All right, I want to get to a little bit about last night and a little bit about what's coming up tonight and the All-Star Game conundrum. And I want to start there real quick. And we'll talk about this a little bit later on with Brenden. So the NHL All-Star Game was kind of set aside for this Four Nations Faceoff. And what we've got here is something that, frankly, caught me by surprise in how seriously everybody was going to take it. My mistake for not getting it. Totally take the zero. I really thought we would have something that wasn't an all-star game in terms of no effort, just trying to make fancy plays, because that's what you've got in the 3-on-3 all-star game. I thought that has resembled the NBA all-star game. But I thought you would have kind of a hybrid. It's going to be a lot of skating, not a lot of physicality. Everybody's going to be about offense, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. And you've had the best players in the world doing that. That's good. And then I watched Canada-Sweden from game 1, and I went, okay, this is very, very different than I expected. And it's pleasing because we are getting legitimate hockey, NHL hockey, really. Not quite as physical as the NHL, although USA-Canada was. And you're getting these players playing for their countries. So the NHL All-Star Game, they recognize that has kind of lost a little bit of luster, which is why they're doing this. It is a precursor for the Olympics, which comes next year. And so I think what we're seeing here is exactly what is possible when everybody is invested. Because that's what we've really watched. Taylor said it. Everybody else we've talked to has said the same thing. The players care. You heard from Mike Sullivan, the coach of Team USA. Mark Messier said it in that clip from Get Up this morning on ESPN. That the players care. It matters to them how they play, whether or not they win. It absolutely matters. And in most of the other all-star game settings, it really doesn't. To this extent, and I've looked at it, the Pro Bowl in the NFL, gone. They don't even have it. They don't even pretend. And honestly, some of those other events will probably go by the wayside as well as soon as we get our first injury in flag football. As soon as they do that, we'll probably have that gone as well because, frankly, nobody wants to get hurt doing these things. So the Pro Bowl is gone. Now the NFL has reimagined it with other things, and it's probably pretty good. I didn't watch the NFL, Pro Bowl games, but I'm sure that if you're a big football fan and that's what you want to do, you've probably enjoyed it. Major League Baseball's All-Star Game, it's not as good as Home Run Derby, right? I think most of us agree that Home Run Derby is more entertaining, even if we might think it drags on too long. They have certainly tried to streamline that, make it a little shorter, easier, more easily digestible. And they still have the game, but that's because you can't really alter the game. There's just not much you can do. and we cycle the players, in and out a lot quicker than we ever did. They used to have normal rosters, like 25-man rosters for an all-star game, and now the rosters are like 35 because we keep running. Maybe a pitcher will go 2 innings, but for the most part, you go 1 inning, you're done. And some hitters will get 2 at-bats, and then you're out. And at the end of the game, you go, oh, look at that. There's a whole bunch of rookies on the field who had great years who are in the game late. So the Major League Baseball All-Star Game isn't quite the same anymore. The NBA All-Star Game is just loaded with complaints. I would say this, though. The solution isn't the format. USA versus the world? What? Really? Young versus old? That actually created the most juice from this All-Star Game based on everything that I've read and seen. But maybe if you're going to do young versus old, maybe you play that in somebody's driveway. Like older brother, younger brother, dad, kid. I don't know. But it isn't the format. It's just how invested the players are in the format. And ultimately, we're probably looking for a solution to a problem that doesn't exist because the NBA All-Star Game isn't supposed to be high-level competition. Like I said, the worst thing that happened to the NBA's All-Star Game was the 4 Nations Faceoff being played at the same time. Because this has ended up being high-level competition that matters with no prize money on the line. And we're trying to find reasons why the NBA All-Star Game should add a prize pool or do this or do that. When ultimately it comes down to, does your product, do the players, are they really invested in that event? And it's hard to create an exhibition that matters. It just is very hard. Real quick before we break. You asked this question earlier, Graham, about NC State. So what's next for NC State? And I would say that what's next for NC State is very simple. You've got 5 regular season games left. Depending on what Syracuse or Notre Dame do, you got to figure out how to win 2 games. Notre Dame, you might have to figure out how to win 3, right? Notre Dame closes the season. Like, I don't think Notre Dame's going to beat Pitt this weekend or win at Clemson or Wake Forest next week. But they've got Stanford and Cal coming to South Bend to end the season. I think I don't know if you could reasonably expect Notre Dame based on last night to win any of those games. But I think if I were a betting man, I would say Notre Dame's going to go 1-4 the rest of the way, which means State's going to need to get to 6 wins to catch Notre Dame. Maybe you're better off thinking about Syracuse. Syracuse is off this weekend. They will host State next week from yesterday. Then Syracuse plays at Virginia Tech and SMU before closing at home against Virginia. I guess theoretically they could win the Virginia game too. And they could beat NC State, to be honest. And if they do that, well, State's probably got bigger problems than worrying about what anybody else is doing. So the answer to your question is, where does State go from here, is complicated because, well, just focus on winning, 2 or 3 more ball games, and you can make the ACC tournament. Except that I get back to last night, and I'm disturbed by the lack of fight, the lack of pushback, as you are getting steamrolled by a team that, by all accounts, isn't that good. Like, I know Carolina played well last night. Nobody's taking anything away from them. And we know that they could be a better team than they have shown.
Right.
But they're not that good.
Yeah, last night.
And for you to go ahead.
I was just going to say, last night was probably their best game that they've played all season. If anything else, the best first half they've put together all season.
Oh, I think, yeah, definitely the best first half they played all season. I mean, look, they played well in games against top-flight competition and didn't win. They played well against Florida earlier this season. I guess that game was in Charlotte.
Yep.
They played well against Michigan State in Maui, went to overtime and lost that game. They have played some good basketball this year, but a lot of teams have played some good basketball this year. But the proof is what you have done over the course of now 27 games for the Tar Heels, and they're 16-11 for a reason. They've lost 6 ACC games for a reason. They're just, I mean, there's no excuse for them to have lost to Stanford at home. None. You know, it's just that they're, at this point, Carolina's just not that good. But with all of that said, what happened last night was alarming from a lack of competitive standpoint. Like, Carolina competed last night, and that's why it looked like that. And so I don't know what to say about the Wolfpack. Like, what happens next? If I know that they were going to compete, then I would say, all right, they can win 2 or 3 more games because Wake is thin. Even though Wake's good, they're thin. You got that game at home. Syracuse isn't that good, and it looks like they're mailing it in. Georgia Tech's not that good. Pitt, I mean, they've been like the Forrest Gump box of chocolates. And at Miami, those are winnable games. I just don't know what state's going to show up.
And you also don't know what's
disturbing.
You also know what's going to happen the rest of the league, like you talked about at the beginning of the segment. The issue that I have with the state of NC State basketball after last night's loss, it's one thing to lose to UNC in a down year for them. It's another to lose in that sort of fashion. But unfortunately, we've seen this be a common theme for head coach Kevin Keats throughout his tenure. 2017, Roy's final season, lost to them. 2020, the lost season because of COVID, lost to them. 2023, after North Carolina was preseason ranked number 1 in the country, ended up missing the tournament that year. NC State, on the other hand, had an NCAA tournament. I believe they still got swept. Last night was the final dagger for me in what's been an underwhelming season. NC State didn't look prepared. It showed at the very start. And the body language just wasn't good. They waited until they had dug themselves too deep of a hole to try and fight back in the second half. That just falls back on the coach for not having them ready to play. And the fact that Kevin Keats said last night that he doesn't have the word embarrassed in his vocabulary, that's just shocking to me.
I agree. They didn't look prepared. They didn't look ready to play the game the way that it needed to be played for them to win, especially on the road. I mean, could they have been caught off guard by that environment? I would hope not. We all knew that it was going to be a louder, more raucous Smith Center than we have seen in a number of years. We all knew that. I mean, I think most people were like looking forward to that. Oh, man, it's going to be great. We're going to have a whole bunch of students close to the court because the students don't sit near the court at the Smith Center.
Right, unless it's the risers behind the basket.
Yeah, and then usually you're behind the media and behind the band. Right?
Yes.
Isn't that true? It's been a long time since I have covered a basketball game at the Smith Center.
You're right.
So it's just been, to me, it was a team. That's why the only thing I tweeted last night, and it came about 10 minutes into the game, I just said, State going to compete tonight or no?
I mean,
the answer was no.
They're very lucky that the score didn't get too out of hand like it did back in the 2017 snow game where they ended up losing by 51 points. I mean, when Carolina was up by 30, their largest margin of the game last night, it looked like it was quite on pace to be that sort of game for NC State.
Yeah, but I would argue that creates a sense that it wasn't as bad as it was. So when Kevin Keats says after the game, we won the second half, and I don't believe that he applies any meaning to it, but the fact that he actually uttered those words, I mean, I just can't. I can't. I'm going to give him the grace of, yeah, I'm sure that he wishes he didn't say that because that was embarrassing. You don't get anything for winning the second half. Not when you lost the first half by 28. All right, we got a break. We got to stretch. We have to place bets. It is a big night for the National Hockey League tonight. We'll get to all of that next.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
It's that time of year to come see me. Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you. So make sure you don't have to cancel on those you love the most.
By getting your flu and COVID vaccines. They're safe and effective.
Both flu and COVID vaccines have been updated to fight against new virus strains.
So make sure you don't miss that family gathering and protect those around you. Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Get protected this season with updated COVID-19 and flu shots. Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
Going to college gives you more career options. You could say it pays for itself, but it might not feel that way in the short term, especially when tuitions do. That's where the FAFSA comes in. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's your gateway to money for college. Whether you're seeking scholarships, grants, work-study programs, or loans, it all starts with the FAFSA. So how about it? Make a plan for college and find everything you need for the FAFSA at cfnc.org.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit, investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
Have you ever noticed how little things can make a big difference? Letting someone with an item or two check out in front of you, especially when you have a cart full. By the way, it doesn't take any time to smile at a grumpy checkout clerk. Maybe they've been working a long shift. It takes so little time, but it works wonders. In North Carolina, we have always taken pride in being kind to everybody. Little things do make a difference. Makes you feel better. Makes everyone around you feel better.
This is Adam Gold.
80-second mark, I scream in the booth. I screamed in the booth. Why the heck is he still on the ice?
Did you say it and finish?
I should have.
Yes.
No, he wouldn't. He curses in English.
He does.
All right, 2 seconds later, he scored.
Yes.
And I went, oh, that's why. That's what.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Second straight snow day. Graham, how much snow did you get in where you live?
A very good amount. In fact, Snow Miser had to drive me into work this morning to the studio.
Snow Miser from one of the Claymation Christmas specials.
I don't know how many inches exactly. How many did you get? Like 4 inches?
Yeah, between 4 and 5 up here in Oxford.
I'd say maybe
pretty impressive.
I'd say maybe 2 to 3 at my residential area. Let's just say when I got home last night, you know my feelings on snow. I got right into my bunker and did not reemerge until I had to this morning to come into the work.
Well, hibernation for Graham Hill last night, who ditched going basketball game. By the way, our friend Luke DeCock, and he put this out on social media, so I have no problem saying this. Remember yesterday when we talked to Luke, he was ready to go. He was all excited to go. It's not going to be that big a deal. He eventually decided, you know what? No, not doing it, and ultimately watched the game from home. Look, a lot of people did the same thing, and I appreciate people being safe.
I tip of the hat to all the media members, including Corey Smith, that we had on yesterday, for braving the weathery conditions and the tundra and making it over to Chapel Hill last night for what was a basketball game, I guess? Question mark.
No, it was not. It was a one-way fight. One-way fight. All right, you ready to stretch?
Let's do it. I want to begin with some news that's going to be shocking to a lot of folks, including yourself, Adam. What if I told you that the 2025 NBA All-Star Games viewership was down 13%?
Not a surprise. The number was still, overall, I think more than watched Saturday night's Four Nations Faceoff game between U.S. and Canada in the United States.
Well,
it was like 4.7 million, right?
Something, it was 4.718 million viewers across TNT, TBS, True TV, marking a 13% from the 2024 NBA All-Star Game, which drew an average of 5.398 million viewers. This is the second least watched NBA All-Star Game of all time, trailing only 2023's event. Not only did it prove to be a critical disaster, but it took a bit of a commercially comedic role to it as well. According to Sports Media Watch, and as first reported by Front Office Sports, Sunday night's exhibition, I already gave you that number. The number that I'm looking for is the All-Star Game double-digit drop is especially notable when factoring in Nielsen's new measurement strategy, which has largely been favorable for high-profile sporting events. Nielsen's approach recently played a huge role in Fox being able to claim the most-watched Super Bowl in recent history, despite the game being uncompetitive. Philadelphia Eagles blowout victory over Kansas City Chiefs. Even with the shift in this tracking, it's not totally shocking that this year's NBA All-Star Game rating would be down. In addition to the event's recent trajectory, the mixed reaction to the new format, the Four Nations Faceoff, the last-minute news that LeBron James wouldn't be participating, and the Daytona 500 running late due to a weather delay, and the highly anticipated Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary special.
That was what really damaged.
Yeah.
All of us smart people were watching SNL 50.
I completely shame on me. I forgot it was on until I saw your tweet about it, and then I cut off the NBA All-Star Game and immediately flipped to that. So
it's a great show.
Shouldn't be a surprise, but just wanted to put some numbers out there just to kind of show how bad it was. Speaking of things that are bad, my bets.
Place your bets. Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Even though I did win one last night.
Bushwood, sir, and I never slide. Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
I didn't win bets last night. All right, let's go. We'll try to make amends.
I was 1 for 3 last night. Shout out to the Charlotte Hornets in a 197 win. I had the Hornets at plus 12.5. They won by 3. And then tonight, I'm going to go with all Four Nations face-off bets because why not? Let's go first with USA minus 1.5 plus 235. I love the plus value on that.
All right, yes. Need that empty net goal. All right, we're going to start with the game. Give me the U.S. to win in overtime plus 688.
Next up, I'm actually going to go with a goal. I'm going to go with the first period goal scored in the first 5 minutes at plus 205 for either team, hopefully Team USA. But since there was a quick start to last time these two teams met, I'm going to go with the first period goal in the first 5 minutes again.
Totally understood. There are places you can bet will there be a fight in the first 5 minutes of the game.
I did look for that. Couldn't find it.
which is like FanDuel does not offer that, but there are other places where you can bet a fight in the first 5 minutes. All right, Jacob Slaven, anytime goal scorer, plus 1,600. Jacob Slaven puts his stamp on the Four Nations Faceoff tonight with a goal off the mask of Jordan Bennington and in. That's what we're saying. And if you like it to be the first goal, and I don't hate it, it's plus 8,500. Really. In the Wall of Sound, you'll hear from Bomani Jones next.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen for the...
Oh, my goodness!
Check in for the...
Beautiful back cut and a two-hand jam.
Don't miss the...
Race to the other end. Get ready for the show!
What was that?
A reverse pull-up! My goodness! Hubbard got hit, and he made the shot!
You're home for the Final Four from San Antonio.
Cooper got it to rattle home!
99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
A new game has landed in North Carolina. Officials are calling this new species of game Cash Pop. So easy to play, it's out of this world. Reports confirm you just pick and match one number to win up to $2,500. With 5 drawings every day, cash landings have been cited across the state. So be on the lookout for Cash Pop from the North Carolina Education Lottery. The wins are out there. Must be 18 to play. See Cash Pop prize and odds chart at nclottery.com for details. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
At Diamonds Direct, we believe luxury is an experience and not a price tag. Luxury is expert guidance. It's the selection of 10 jewelry stores under one roof. It's saving time on endless comparison shopping. And you'll only find this experience at Diamonds Direct. Our luxury showroom has it all backed by our lifetime warranties and our signature best price guarantee. Diamonds Direct is the perfect combination of luxury and value, so you don't ever have to compromise. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
February is the month for love, but think about all the love and attention that your carpets need. All the dirt and snow and mud that you've tracked into your home over the last few days, take care of that with Zero Res. Call Zero Res right now, 919-995-0000, or go online at ZeroResRaleigh.com and ask for the $99.9 The Fan special. 3 rooms clean starting at $109 and get a 4th room done for free. That deal runs to Tuesday the 25th. So go to ZeroResRaleigh.com.
A few contest rules from sports radio stations The Fan, The Buzz. No purchase necessary. 21 to enter and play. Limited to 1 entry per person and 1 prize winner per family or household per contest every 30 days. Employees of Capital Broadcasting, its agencies, sponsors, subsidiaries, other broadcast companies, and immediate families of the above are ineligible to play. Winners are verified, complete documentation, and are responsible for all taxes and prizes received. All prizes are non-transferable and cannot be redeemed for cash. Winners give sports radio the right to publicize his or her name, likeness, or voice. Sports may change contest rules and prizes at any time and holds no liability for canceled or postponed events. Complete info of sports radio contests available at WRALSportsFan.com or during normal business hours at 3100 Highwoods Boulevard in Raleigh.
If only life had a remote control, you could pause or rewind. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Chuck McDowell here again. Over the years, I've seen way too many timeshare exit companies pop up, take folks' money, and disappear. I just saw an ad from an exit company started by a couple of bozos that used to work for me. My advice, don't hire bozos I fire. Want out of your timeshare? Call me and I'll send you our free timeshare exit info kit explaining your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free kit, 800-949-1441. 800-949-1441.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Tahoe, They bump it to the near wall to Line. A little three-man game in the triangle. Line, seam pass, score! Right at it! Lights the lamp on the power play. Just what Finland needed.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
And that's coming tonight. Well, no, that won't be coming tonight. That was Finland scoring. I can't imagine Finland scores tonight. At least not in hockey at the Four Nations Faceoff in Boston. It'll be the United States and Canada for the second time. United States winning the first matchup. That game played in Montreal. Maybe it'll be the road team's show again. Canada, USA. By the way, if you are interested, we're always interested in these types of things. The wagering, dead even, no value either way. The Canada is -110. The United States is -110. So they are co-favorites here, and the only value you can get is under 5.5 in terms of normal wagering. Under 5.5 is +110. I'm sorry. Over 5.5 is +110. That's interesting. Under 5.5 is -134. So clearly the Desert believes this is going to be a low-scoring game. I actually picked the USA to win it in overtime. And if I was going to pick it, I would pick it 3-2. So that would be overtime, under, and USA wins. So I do think the United States will win. Their advantage in goal, their advantage, I think, defensively on the blue line will be the difference here. But no Charlie McAvoy. Cale Makar is drawing back in. And the secret weapon for Canada, Seth Jarvis, will be back in the lineup tonight. Very excited for that. All right. I promised you, Wall of Sound, we will hear from Bomani Jones, our friend from the Right Time podcast, and we'll get to that at the end of the Wall of Sound. But let's start with last night.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
And we'll start with the UNC head coach Hubert Davis. This comes from Tar Heel Radio. What led to the fast start in the first half in which UNC led by 28 at the break?
Big emphasis going into this game. They got 16 offensive rebounds against us in the first matchup. It was like, it can't happen tonight. We have to put a body on them, and we have to get the rebound. And once we got the rebound, we knew that we would have an advantage in transition, and that's what happened. And that's been for us all year. Like, we've been consistently great in transition. But in order to get there, you have to get stops, and you got to rebound, and we did that. And the whole energy level, and then our press, we started pressing and creating turnovers, and the crowd was just amazing. It's, the weather out there is rough.
Look, the weather was bad outside, inside very warm for UNC. Rebounding was the absolute key in this game. The Tar Heels picked up 50% of the available rebounds on the offensive end and collected about 80% of the rebounds on their defensive glass. That's where they won this game, although Kevin Keats thinks that there were a lot of reasons why UNC won this game.
When you look at the first half, we gave up 7 threes. We only gave up 1 in the second half. We turned the ball over 9 times and only 1 in the second half. We moved the ball in the second half. We did a really good job. But, once again, we just, they came out and I thought we played hard. I just thought they beat us to 50-50 balls, and then we got a little tight, and instead of coming together, we got a little bit divided. And once we got in the locker room, we settled down, but we were in such a big hole, and that's disappointing. And we got to figure out that our half really cost us the game.
Yeah, I would hesitate to put any importance at all on the second half of that game. I wouldn't even watch the tape to find the good things that came out of that half, because when you're down 28 in a rivalry game, sorry. Unless you come back and make it a game, which State never did, Did they get I don't think they got the game under 20.
No.
In the second half.
That tape is being used as firewood currently.
I mean, it's just ridiculous to honestly to draw any conclusions, anything from only turning it over once in the second half. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I got nothing for that. All right, so Hubert Davis. Remember, he mentioned the weather was bad outside. It was outside, but it did create an atmosphere inside that is rare to the Smith Center, and Davis loved it.
And for us to have 14, 15,000 fans there, I mean, it's just, I really wanted to thank them. They made a difference. And the players have said that to me. After the game, they were like, that crowd was different. It made a difference. And it's so nice. Many reasons why I love the Smith Center, because the students could get here. They can just come down the hill and come to the game and support their fellow classmates. And so it was a really great night.
So it's the second time in I don't know how many years. I think it was 2000 when Maryland versus the Tar Heels was basically played in front of students during a big snowstorm. And that atmosphere was also very different. Remember, the people who have donated the most money get to sit closest to the action at the Smith Center. And I am not criticizing that. I am simply stating it as a point of fact. So when your students are far away, one of the things that makes going to Cameron Indoor Stadium so cool is the proximity of the students to the court. You know, right behind the media seats down on the floor. That's where all the students are. You even have a few students on the other side near the benches, but for the most part, the students are behind the media, which is courtside. At Lenovo Center for state games, there's a fair amount of students down by the court. Not really at the Smith Center. So it was a unique environment for them, and it also speaks to why you don't want to take the Smith Center off campus.
1994 versus Maryland, 2000 versus Maryland, 2017 versus State, and then last night against State might be four of the biggest impactful games that you'll see at the Dean Dome in terms of last night game might be the reason why the Dean Dome stays on campus rather than moving to Chapel Hill North, in just my opinion.
I hope it stays essentially right in the same general area that it is. If they can figure out a way to do that, I think they should. I would not move my arena off campus unless I had no other option. All right, now to Dontrez Styles for the Wolfpack, who knows what's left in front of his team.
It's tough. Just how this game went and how they came out and just hit us and we didn't respond at all, and it was kind of over after that. And we can't afford to do that at all at this point in the season. And we know these next 5 games we got to get wins. So.
They do. They got to get wins. Wake at home this weekend, at Syracuse and Georgia Tech next week, home against Pitt, at Miami to close. Can the Wolfpack find 2 or 3 wins there? You might only need 2 if one of them is Syracuse, but you might need 3. Chances are you're probably going to need 3. Can they find 3 wins there? The team that played last night won't, but I think they're better than that. Anyway, although I keep saying that, and they keep proving me wrong. Maybe I'll believe them at some point. All right, now I mentioned we were going to hear from Bomani Jones here in the Wall of Sound. So this is a conversation he was having with Yahoo Sports' Vinny Goodwill, who covers the NBA for Yahoo. And they were talking about the face of the NBA, which is right now LeBron James, and it has been LeBron James for the last probably 2 decades. And they're having a discussion over who can be the face of the league going forward. Does it have to be a player who is American?
It shocked me to hear Anthony Edwards say the thing about not wanting to be the face of the NBA. On one level, the argument was... Here's what I'm saying. I found it interesting. Look, his argument was the I'm a dog argument, right? That I just want to go out here and do my thing. That's what he said. He said, I want to go out there, destroy people on the court, and then go on about my business. That's what he said he wanted to do. The fact that he was so nonchalant about it, I thought was a bit shocking, because by now, so many of us have said this about him that I thought he would have got on board with it by now and realized it ain't really about your choice, little homie. This is the direction that it's going in. And he was like, hell no, no, I ain't doing that.
And Bo went on to say that it's more important for the face of the NBA to be amazing. Just like you cannot take your eyes off of him rather than where you're from or what you look like. Now, I say that because to me, the face of the league eventually, whenever LeBron James retires, should be Victor Wembanyama. Of course, the news today that Wembanyama will be out for the rest of the regular season because of a blood clot in his right shoulder. That is alarming because that speaks to, can he do this? Can he? This is not this. I've heard it called an injury. It ain't an injury. This is a condition that will have to be monitored. So Wembanyama is the kind of a player that when you watch, you are mesmerized. In some ways, similar to Nikola Jokic and to an extent maybe Giannis Antetokounmpo. We'll talk about these things, plus his Tar Heels win over the Wolfpack and the fact that the Hornets won in L.A. last night. We'll talk about that with Brenden Whitted next.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
If Super Bowl 59 shows us anything, it shows that defense wins championships. That tried and true saying, defense wins championships. And if you're the Carolina Panthers, this is something you have to devote this offseason to fixing. Draft picks, free agency. You have to strengthen up that side of the football. You have to be great on defense in order to win.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. The insurance company wants to pay you the least amount possible. Law Tigers are riders too, so we understand what your bike and gear are worth and what you're going through after an accident. Your case evaluation is always free, and we don't get paid until your case settles. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Fargo, your virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can in the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Fargo is only available on the smartphone versions of the Wells Fargo mobile app. Wells Fargo Bank N.A., member FDIC.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
See if you're a winner every night.
Watch live lottery drawings on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news. That's right, Carolina Pick 3, Carolina Pick 4, and Carolina Cash 5 numbers every night on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news. See if you're a winner before you go off to bed. Get your lottery numbers live every night.
North Carolina Education Lottery.
Only on WRAL-TV's 11 o'clock news.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
This is Adam Gold.
Did you see what Duke is paying the quarterback that they pulled out of the portal from Tulane?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. 2-year deal, $4 million per.
Oh, wow.
Per. So.
Do they want a quarterback named Victoria?
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Appreciate Graham Hill's musical repertoire today. All Steely Dan, because Walter Becker would have been his birthday today. And he would have been, if I could just do the math, he would have been 75 today. Passed away 8 years ago. It's the greatest band. Steely Dan's the greatest. Sorry. Fight me. All right, let's get right to it with our friend, basketball-brained Brenden Whitted, who joins us on the Adam Gold Show. And two reasons I reached out. One is because, like, his Tar Heels haven't won a ton this year, and they put one on NC State last night. So I wanted to give him at least the floor to feel good about UNC after last night's utter beat him down. That was cathartic, wasn't it?
It really feels good to have you on after a Tar Heels win. It's been so infrequent this season. So this is right. This was a wonderful, like, watching them play, the way they got up early, knocking down threes. Like, if they shoot like that, I'm just saying, but watch out. Just maybe watch out.
Really? You think?
No.
How much of what we saw last night are you taking to the final Saturday of the regular season?
It was all smoke show. That had more to do with State being bad. That was pretty good, but I will 100% take it. Look, after that beatdown we got from Duke, I need all of the love that I can get, all the love and affection, so I can send those text messages to all my State friends and be like, "Hi, what, you see the game? See, I haven't had the chance to do a lot of those texts this year, so like I'm taking full advantage, being a full narcissist when it comes to this, 100%.
Brenden Whitted is joining us here. Real quick about the game last night. I think there is potential on this team. I think the potential is very limited because of their obvious deficiencies inside around the rim. It's still, I said this earlier, it's the most anemic rebounding UNC team of my lifetime. Yeah. I can't recall them ever being this absolute mediocre. Would be great if they were mediocre. They're just not good at all. But I thought last night was, to me, we could talk about, Jalen Withers had a good game. Van Allen Lubin scored, I think, every point in the first 5 minutes of the second half. I thought it was like the Seth Trimble game. I thought Trimble was great on both ends. I thought the way he played the game, had he been wearing a different uniform, I think the outcome might have been different because of the way I loved Seth Trimble last night.
He's been the disappointment for me this season because I thought that there was another leap that was going to happen. You see the athleticism. I thought that, and you know about the defensive, and he has a ton of stuff. He rebounds really well. He has a ton of stuff you really like. But that offensive jump that I thought was coming hasn't. And I think that's been the kind of the marker on him. And you've seen all these UNC games go down these last possessions. I think they've had something like 10 games in total decided by 5 points or less or something like that. Like
right.
That's the kind of small stuff where, hey, if he makes that leap, if RJ Davis doesn't go through this slump, like it's the small stuff here and there on the out on the perimeter that I really wanted them to be. I didn't think they were going to be particularly good in the middle, but the perimeter play hasn't been as consistent or as dominating as I like. You
right.
talked about poor rebounding. When I think about UNC, not only do I think about rebounding, I think about guards. Guards can get out, run, and set the tone, set the pace, whether it's Ed Cota or, I mean, you can go down to Lip Marshall or any of these other guys like Page. Any of these guys, those are the guys I look for. Davis hasn't been quite that. He's more of a scorer than a facilitator in that regard, and I really think that has hurt that offense. Because defensively, they're as lackluster as I thought they'd be. Offensively, they're not as potent.
Right. We knew the defense would struggle. The defense was good last night. I think you pointed out it's probably as much about NC State as it was UNC. But I want to give UNC credit because I think they came for a fight. They were prepared to play a rivalry game, and NC State prepared to play a basketball game against friends in the park. And that was not what turned up. That was the way I looked at NC State. I was disappointed in their lack of ability to compete last night. The other reason I wanted to reach out, I know you love the game, and by the way, got to get your reaction on. And Brenden Whitted is joining us here, one of our basketball brains. Victor Wembanyama out for the year.
Yeah.
Essentially a deep blood clot in his right shoulder. Now we're hoping that everything will be fine. It's not something that isn't treatable. So he should be able to be fine. It's not going to sap strength or anything like that. It is something they're going to have to monitor. So just your thoughts on the Spurs playing the rest of the year without him, and what kind of year has he had in your estimation?
They made a play to get Fox, and I think that they're even faster than they thought they'd be a contender. Like they're thinking that they're contenders. You don't make that kind of a trade unless you think that you're a contender. Fox has been one of the better clutch scorers, and so the Spurs, while they probably weren't going to make the playoffs this year, you see the change in mindset of, okay, we're going to tank. Oh, okay. No, this guy's really good, and you have Castle, and you have these younger players, Vassell. Like you have a good core, Sohan. Like those are good guys that you can build around. It sucks that he's hurt. I'm honestly the only thing. It sucks that I say this, but the first thing I thought about was Chris Bosh, like with his blood clot issue and that shortening his career. So I'm hoping, like you said, that this is a one-off, that this is not something that's going to follow him around, because he's a guy that's going to be one of the people that you think about when you talk about the NBA. Even casual fans know his name or know what he looks like. And the NBA could use more of those faces as you see the older guys, the KDs, the LeBrons, the Stephs. As they retire, you need this new crop to really yield. And I'm hoping that this is just a one-off thing.
So you get us into the next part of the conversation, Brenden, in that right now we'd all agree LeBron James is the face of the league. He's been the face of the league for 20 years. He's still the face of the league, right?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I think he's the most recognizable of everybody that's playing in that sport.
And the only other really challenger to that would be Steph, correct?
Yeah, I would think. I mean, maybe KD. I'm in D.C., so everything is kind of through the lens of Kevin Durant here.
PG County, man.
PG County, you know how it is. So maybe you could push back on Steph being the second guy, but somewhere in there, those are the three guys.
All right, so and all three. I mean, Durant's the 36, Steph's 36, LeBron is 40. My guess is they're all going to play at least one or two more years. It blows me away that we're talking about LeBron, who is still one of the best 10 or 15 players in the league at age 40. It is ridiculous. But when these guys do cycle out, who are the next faces of the game? And it brings me, I bring to this because I know Bomani Jones was talking about it on his podcast the other day, the Right Time podcast, regarding you don't have to be an American player to be the face of the league. And that was debated, I guess, on Stephen A. said something. How can you not be an American? Like, the game is international. The best players are international, whether it's Jokic or Wembanyama or Giannis Antetokounmpo. I said the name right before. Now I can't say it. These guys are not born in America. You know, which of those players? Maybe it's all three, but which of those players you think is more likely to be the face of the game?
I'm gonna go off the board here, particularly with this trade. I'm gonna say Luka. He's going to be in LA. They have an opportunity. I know they lost to the mighty Hornets last night.
Doncic was bad, by the way.
Yeah, he wasn't great. He wasn't great, and LaMelo gave him that work at the top of the key when he needed it, when it was closing time. It was beautiful. But I think it's going to be Luka. Like just with the style in which he plays, he's in LA. Like that's everything that you need, and they're going to be title contenders. Like they're a title contending team right now. Right, whether or not they win or not, I don't know, but they're going to go to the playoffs. He's going to be in LA. He's a new acquisition, and you are literally getting the torch passed to you by the guy who is the face now. Luka has he has everything in the world to take it right now. Like it's hard for me not to see him as the guy, particularly with him in Los Angeles.
So the fact that like Tim Duncan for years was one of the best players in the league, played in San Antonio, and was largely anonymous. Is that more about San Antonio or the style that you think the Spurs played?
And Tim Duncan, right? He just some guys aren't, and I would say this will stop Jokic from being that guy too. They're just not really interested in promoting the sport, being the face of. If you're not interested in it, you won't be, right? Like I think a large part of the conversation started with Anthony Edwards, right? Where he has the personality and the type of game. You also need an aesthetically pleasing type of game. Respect to Tim Duncan, but nobody's trying to watch a low post, bank shot after bank shot. Like that ain't it. Like I love Tim Duncan, but Kevin Garnett was my favorite. Why? Because he's Kevin Garnett. Right? Tim Duncan he doesn't have that sort of personality. San Antonio fit him perfectly for that reason. And Jokic isn't really that guy. Giannis has a little bit of some of that stuff too, right? Like people like him, but he's generally a likable guy. But is Milwaukee going to do it? Like part of the thing that it's LeBron. It wasn't Cleveland. It was LeBron. Is that Giannis? Maybe, but you're probably going to have to leave Milwaukee at some point. And I'm not sure they're going to let him out of the building. So I don't know if he can be the guy. I think location and personality matters just as much as how aesthetically pleasing your game is. Luka's is all offense, no defense. That sounds really, really fun to watch, and it is.
It is true. Doncic being in L.A., nobody in Boston, another high-profile team, nobody in Boston fits that bill for you, I guess the player we would be talking about here is Jason Tatum, but I don't think Jason Tatum is one of those players.
No, because, it was kind of weird when they won the title, right? Like it was like there was just like this series of him doing other people's shticks, whether it was Kobe's shtick or LeBron's shtick, or it was like, hey, buddy, this is kind of weird. This is a little weird that this continues to happen. I don't know if he has that sort of personality either. I think he's a fantastic basketball player. I just don't know if there's something very real and very connecting. When Anthony Edwards gets on the microphone, I don't know what he's going to say. I have no idea what he's going to say. But it's going to be interesting. Tatum really doesn't give you that. If there were going to be a guy off Boston, it'd be Brown. Like he is at least willing to get in front of a microphone and say something that is provocative. Now, there are some other issues with Brown being on the microphone that people will not like, and that has nothing to do with anything else other than So that's the thing that's going to hold him back. Like there are some people that, hey, I got something to say. You might not want to say it. Like a guy like Kyrie Irving. Like you saw even him in the very little bit of time that he's been kind of on this national platform, he will say something like, whoa, buddy. Like you can't the NBA has been so fortunate to have LeBron. Like I cannot emphasize this enough. We can have as many LeBron versus Jordan conversations as you want to. You mentioned you've been the face of the league for 20 years. Like a guy who was on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 16. Sports Illustrated, by the way, kids, is a magazine. Magazines are a thing that used to come in the mail. But he was on the cover of that at a 16-year-old and didn't disappoint. It's literally the all-time point scorer and has been he literally made Space Jam 2. That's how palatable he is to pretty much everybody. it's hard to get that kind of a person again and again. Like, I think it's going to have to be a mantle that is shared. But I also thought about this too. The NFL doesn't really have a face of their league. You know
no,
what
it's
I mean?
the shield.
Like, you know what I mean? Patrick Mahomes, maybe you can say, but, like, not for real. Like, everybody kind of gets their own shine. As you mentioned, it's the shield. The NBA, I think, has to do a better job of hyping up its own product for the product's sake and maybe less about individuals. Because I think you can look around like LaMelo, I think, could legitimately be a star. Team's not good enough. But, like, he's a guy who's been famous since he was 16 and is kind of just used to being famous. You'll see him on TV shows. You see him on podcasts, stuff like that. He's used to being famous. You have to want that sort of thing. And in today's society, do you really want that much scrutiny? Because, like, as great as Jordan was, he wouldn't have been people would not be as enamored with Jordan now if he came out because of all the other stuff that would eventually come out about whatever his personal life and all this other stuff. Like those sorts of things, like it makes it a lot tougher. LeBron's kind of the last of that dying breed of, hey, put me as the number one guy, crown me, the whole thing, and I can take that weight on my shoulders.
Yeah, you brought up so many good points. First, an apology because you made me laugh in the hey kids, do you even know what a magazine is? For a number of reasons. One, you're acting like you're this old head and you're a young guy. And two, it did make me laugh because I was a kid who grew up with a subscription to Sports Illustrated and loved when the magazine came to me every week to see what was on the cover. I kept them. I probably had 8 years of Sports Illustrated's in my bedroom as a kid, and I read it cover to cover. But now you have to read SI online. Do they even have a print? Do they even have? I guess no, they do. There is a magazine.
Don't know if they have a print anymore.
There is a there's got to be a hard copy somewhere. Who knows if it's got any like articles in it anymore? They're all dated at this point. But it is interesting that LeBron had embraced all of what went with being the face of the league. And I'd said that a long time ago, that the NBA was lucky that LeBron was willing to do it. And he lived a life that, as far as we know, and at this point, how would we not know, that is exemplary both on and off the court. Now, the shots that people take at LeBron, I saw it one today. We're going to have to wrap this up here, but that when he missed both shots last night to tie the game, that ESPN put up the stat that in L.A., LeBron is 1 for 29 in game-tying or go-ahead shot attempts in the last 5 seconds of the fourth quarter or overtime. So, I mean, I don't know why that really matters other than he just hasn't hit those shots. Maybe that's a slight on LeBron. I don't know, but that's
Sounds like you do. That's what.
And it didn't happen last night to the Hornets, who won the game in LA. That was the rearranged game. That was the one that was smoked out, right?
Because of the fires. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you much, man. Who you got tonight, USA or Canada?
Oh, I'm going Team USA, baby. Look forward to the 51st state, baby. Let's go. That's what happens when we win, right?
That's right. I believe so. Yeah. It's like when in Greece when they raced for pinks you get my, if we beat you at Thunder Road, we get your car. If you win, you get my car. I think that's what it is.
Sports Illustrated, maybe Fast and Furious, not Greece. If we're updating stuff, Fast and Furious, leave it alive for a quarter mile at a time, baby.
You're the man. Brenden Whitted at HU Cosell on Twitter. Thanks, man. I'll talk to you later.
Absolutely, man.
All right, man. That was good. He just sunned. He just sunned everybody. Brenden is not old enough to sun people into, hey, kids, there are things we used to have called magazines. They used to come in the mail. My gosh. All right, when we come back, Chuck Kaiton on the passing of longtime Penguins voice, Mike Lang, and we'll get into the Four Nations Faceoff with the Hall of Fame voice of the Hartford Whalers and Carolina Hurricanes. Next.
From the heels.
Touchdown, Carolina.
To the canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel. Again, America's #1 sports book, because FanDuel's your home for live NBA betting. So even if you miss the start of the game, you're not out of luck. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join. New customers get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel, make every moment more. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
Going to college gives you more career options. You could say it pays for itself, but it might not feel that way in the short term, especially when tuitions do. That's where the FAFSA comes in. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's your gateway to money for college, whether you're seeking scholarships, grants, work-study programs, or loans. It all starts with the FAFSA. So how about it? Make a plan for college and find everything you need for the FAFSA at cfnc.org.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
It's that time of year when we gear up to cheer on our favorite team. Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you. So make sure you don't have to cancel on the team you love the most by getting your flu and COVID vaccines. They are safe and effective. Both flu and COVID vaccines have been updated to fight against new virus strains spreading this fall and winter. So make sure you don't miss the big game and you protect those around you. Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
This is Adam Gold.
80-second mark, I scream in the booth. I screamed in the booth. Why the heck is he still on the ice?
Did you say it in Finnish?
I should have.
Yes.
No, he wouldn't. He curses in English.
He does.
All right, 2 seconds later, he scored.
Yes.
And I went, oh, that's why. That's why.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Graham Hill on the ones and twos. 4 Nations Faceoff tonight. We're going to talk about that with Chuck Kaiton in just a second. Big weekend ahead of ACC basketball SMU trying to play their way into the field. I was just reading Bubble Watch. They think SMU's got a good chance to get in. Wake Forest, maybe not as much. Carolina, right around where Wake Forest is. And Pitt, which has really taken an ugly turn their season over there. They're behind Carolina right now. Those two teams split. And both games, by the way, very, very just down-to-the-wire games, which maybe shouldn't be all that surprising. One bit of breaking news today, Victor Wembanyama declared out for the year with a blood clot in his right shoulder. Something I think Brian Windhurst said, look, the Spurs weren't going anywhere this year, so better to deal with it now, hopefully get it corrected so they can come back maybe even with a high draft pick this year and attack the next several seasons. But Wembanyama is an unbelievable player. For those people who have not watched the NBA, you are going to be seeing highlights of Victor Wembanyama for the next 15 years. He is a freak show, an absolute freak show. Incredible player. There are some great players in the league right now, but so many of them are international players, which I guess puts some people off. Not me. I love it. Love the international part of the game is one of the best parts of the NBA. And according to Brenden Whitted, who we just spoke with, Luka Doncic, he thinks will be the face of the NBA. He might be right. Might be Luka if and when LeBron ever retires. Right now, it's LeBron. All right, before we get to Four Nations Faceoff, as we bring in the legendary Hall of Fame voice of the Carolina Hurricanes and the Hartford Whalers, Chuck Kaiton, we would be remiss if we didn't bring up the passing of longtime Penguins voice, Mike Lang, who's one of the really legendary voices of the sport of hockey. So if I could, Chuck, and start with your thoughts on Lang's passing at age 76.
Well, he was one of a kind, Adam, and he was a very good friend of mine since I met him going way back in 1979. In fact, October of that year, Hartford Whalers, Pittsburgh Penguins, the old igloo in Pittsburgh. I walk up to the booth with my radio equipment. I didn't have an engineer at the time, and then the booth right next to me was Mike Lang. And I knew about him having listened to him on KDKA when I was doing college hockey prior to joining the Whalers, so it was a real honor to meet him. And he just a terrific individual, so kind and so self-effacing. And he had a unique style, and I really revered our relationship over the years. In fact, he was one of our members on the Foster Hewitt Committee with the NHL broadcasters, where every year we honor a broadcaster at the Hockey Hall of Fame, and he was on my committee, so he will be sorely missed. But just as a great friend, and it is just so unfortunate that he had to pass away at what I feel is a young age, since I'm only 3 years younger than him. And so, hey, just a great guy, and I'll never forget him and all the memories that he gave me in all the years that we broadcast together.
Scratch my back with a hacksaw will live forever. Well beyond what we're doing right now. What would he think? What would he think, and what do you think about what we're about to watch tonight at 8 o'clock?
Oh, I think that Mike is going to be watching from the press box of the sky at this game and really enjoying it as much as I will and as much as any Hurricane or NHL fan will, because it was very compelling. I heard you talk about the first game between the two teams and how there's nothing to play for but pride, and you are absolutely right, Adam. But that pride factor is large when you haven't had international competition in almost a decade of this magnitude. And so to the players who are playing in this, who never had the opportunity to be in, say, the 96 Canada Cup, obviously, or even in 2010, save Sidney Crosby with the Olympics, this is going to be another terrifically emotional game. And I don't know if any emails have been sent or texts have been sent to the opposite side about starting 3 fights in 9 seconds. Don't expect to see that to happen, but I do expect to have a very emotionally charged game at the TD Garden tonight.
Maybe it was my fault going in. Chuck Kaiton is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show. Because I just, okay, it's great. We have 4 nations tournaments, best on best. But it's essentially the All-Star break, and I thought that there would be kind of a meeting of the two, that it would be better than All-Star game intensity, but not quite what we're used to. I was blown away. And I thought, and to me, it started with Canada-Sweden, the first game. That's when I noticed, okay, this is going to be different, because it was real hockey. It was real NHL hockey with guys wearing their national team colors.
And I guess the only people who are kind of holding their breath through all of this, Adam, and certainly from what we saw in all the rivalry games, even when you looked at Sweden and Finland, who are just like the United States and Canada, mortal enemies when it comes to the ice, general managers are holding their breath right now, and so are owners, not to see the kind of injuries that we've already seen with some of these teams, especially on the U.S. side, although they're going to get everybody but Charlie McAvoy back tonight, from what I'm told. They're holding their breath about injuries. When Brady Tkachuk went into the net there and actually was kind of cushioned by the goalie pad to some extent, and of course with Matthew Tkachuk with some groin issues that he's had most of the season, and then Austin Matthews with a back problem, and all of the things that went in, Charlie McAvoy now with a shoulder injury. I mean, all of these teams are kind of holding their breath that they hope their superstar is not going to get hurt in this particular game. So they have to get through one more game, but it's going to be a highly intense game, and I can't wait for it to start, because you're right, it has been compelling hockey, it has been serious hockey, and it just goes to show how important it is for these young men to play for their countries. It's just mind-boggling, as you mentioned, that you would see this kind of intensity and structure and coming together of all of these superstar players, and all of them accepting their roles as they have. I mean, Dylan Larkin, a fourth liner, just as one example, or a guy like Brad Marchand, a fourth liner on Canada. So again, all of these guys, it's all country first instead of self.
Yeah, by the way, it looks like Seth Jarvis is going to draw back into the lineup tonight for Canada. So we'll have somebody to root for on both sides, Hurricanes fans. And let's talk about the other guy real quick. Because, it's funny, at some point when people keep calling you underrated, you're not really underrated anymore. When everybody says, man, he's such an underrated player, he's not really underrated. Jacob Slaven is what he is. One of, if not the best defensive defenseman in the entire NHL. And I thought, and to me, he was, I put out stars after games, and for me, he was the best player in the USA-Canada game Saturday night.
Nathan,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Nathan McKinnon wanted no part of trying to deal with Jacob Slaven down the right side. He wanted no part of it. He aborted almost every mission going down the right. Thought, let me try something else. To me, he was the best player.
I don't disagree with you at all. And what makes him a great player, and what I guess makes him underrated to a lot of people, is he does things so elegantly and so economically that you take him for granted. I mean, he's got, first of all, a wide reach. He plays the game cleanly. He's always in great position. And all of those things add up. I mean, the average player, or the average fan, doesn't see all of that stuff because he makes it look so easy, because he's never scrambling around. He's always in good position. He knows when to pinch offensively to keep a puck in. He knows when to back off. He's always in tremendous position in his own zone. He knows how to and when to stand up at the blue line to nullify some of that neutral zone speed that you're talking about, that a guy like Nathan McKinnon, and for that matter Connor McDavid, have. He's just got this knack. It's a sixth sense. I mean, he's terrific. Again, I guess the underratedness comes from the fact that he makes it all look so easy, and he plays the game, and I hate this term, the right way. I mean, he doesn't go out of his way. He doesn't slash you. He doesn't high stick you. He doesn't try to get an advantage illegally. And it's just a testimony to what kind of a character he is. And, in the little time that I knew him, when I was around, he was just a class act in every manner of speaking, both on and off the ice.
All right, so what tips the scales in favor of one nation or the other? Does it matter that the USA won Saturday? It's hard to beat a team twice, blah, blah, blah. Who do you like tonight?
Well, I mean, there's two different dimensions here. First of all, I like the U.S.'s goaltending. Connor Hellebuck is, I think, the better of the two goaltenders over Jordan Binnington. So that's one of the key areas to look at. But the X factor, again, for this game, the U.S. is going to have to solve the Cale Makar puzzle because they didn't have to deal with that the first time around.
Right.
Cale was out with an illness, so that's going to be what kind of impact is he going to have offensively, and especially on the power play. Although I don't expect a lot of power play opportunities for either team tonight, I think the referees will let them play, and I would be surprised if Wes McCauley isn't one of the two referees in this game tonight. And obviously they're going to let him play. I mean, unless it's something flagrant. So the power play may not be as essential for either team. So it's going to have to be 1 5-on-5, and my money's still on the United States because of the goaltending matchup.
Yeah, I think goaltending, and honestly, I'll be surprised if Slaven and Brock Haber don't play 24 minutes tonight together.
Oh yeah, I mean, Jacob is the best defenseman on the U.S. team, hands down. You said it best before. I mean, there's no question about it. He'll be on, and I know Mike Sullivan knows that. The whole coaching staff knows that with Team USA, and so as you mentioned, he's not underrated to hockey people. That's for sure.
No.
But that's going to be, and I think that Cale Makar adds the offensive dimension to the Canada defense. So, again, it may be a toss-up. It's probably going to be a one-goal game again. It's going to be a low-scoring game, I think, again. And so we'll see what happens. But my bet is on Connor Hellebuck, the Brighton, Michigan native. So we'll see what happens here. But I'd say goaltending is still the key here, no matter what people say about all the dynamism of the McKinnons and the McDavids and those type of people. That's how I feel, Adam, at least.
It's Chuck Kaiton, Hall of Fame voice of your Carolina Hurricanes and Hartford Whalers, and we'll all be watching tonight. Does look like Seth Jarvis is going to draw in. Looks like everybody but Charlie McAvoy will be available for the United States. So other than that, and that's a big loss because if you go back to Saturday night, I thought if I were doing the 3 stars, and I put this out on Twitter and Blue Sky as well, my 3 stars were Slaven 1, Dylan Larkin 2, and Charlie McAvoy 3. McAvoy and his physicality on the back end was, to me, game-changing. I thought, and he's, not only is he physical, but he is nasty physical. Borderline, like cross the line, nasty physical. And that's an element that the United States won't have. You're not going to get that from Fox and Zach Werenski. Interesting, by the way, that Adam Fox, at least in the early going, I didn't pay attention to the ice time against Sweden. But in the first 2 games, Adam Fox ended up playing the least among American defensemen. I was shocked at that. But I anticipate Slaven will be on the ice a ton tonight. If for no other reason, then you're going to see a ton of McDavid and McKinnon, albeit not together. And I do think it is wild that as much as the Team Canada is about Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon, it's still also about Sidney Crosby. It's just incredible. It's still about Sidney Crosby. He could end up, he and Zach Werenski have the most points, most scoring points in the tournament. If Crosby ends up winning, he'll be the first player ever, I believe, to lead 2 international tournaments in scoring. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Anyway, I do like the United States in overtime. Goaltending, defense, enough offense. And I think they play a little bit more of a grittier, grindier game than does Canada. All right, real quick. Some news out of Duke, sort of news out of Duke, in that John Shires said that the reports they're getting on the shoulder of Malik Brown are encouraging to the point where they don't believe he is lost for the rest of the season. He separated his left shoulder in their game the other day, but he should be okay. I guess at Virginia, he should be okay. At some point, they just don't have a timetable for when he is going to return. And I said this yesterday, Graham. If I'm Duke, I just want to know that I'm going to have him during the NCAA tournament.
That's where it really
I don't care about. Yeah, I don't care about anything until we get to that. Now, he could be back a lot sooner than that, but to me, that's where you need to get him back. You want to win a national championship? Probably going to need Malik Brown. All right, tomorrow, more than likely, back in studio, Graham Hill. Thank you very much for your help today. USA over Canada today in overtime. That's what we're saying. Bye.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North